Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner and I'm here with Matt Murray.
Hello.
Sean Bell.
Hello.
And James Farley.
Hello.
How's it going? We would like to start this show by thanking our Patreon producers
didn't
this
actually
month.
want an answer.
I was asking the listeners, Matt. I know how you're going. We've been talking for half an hour before recording.
I feel like we've not really got into. It's just been sort of general. We haven't really got to how we're really feeling or anything. It's only been 20 minutes.
I've got a lot of feelings I need to.
It's all been quite superfluous. Small
Save it
talk.
for the bonus show. Yeah, save it for the bonus show. We'd like to start by thanking our Patreon producers this month. They are Aaron Patrick, Simon Nelson, Tom S, Jack Oven, Moomin Biscuit, Richard Sawyer, Dave Ernsberger, Colin Brown, Gazman, Gabby Pereira, and Graham McKay. They are the Full Nels crew. They sit head and shoulders above the liar. All right? Why? Because they paid for it. Thank you so much for supporting the show. You too can support the show over at patreon.com/TCGS. And there are all sorts of tiers there, aren't there, Matt? There's bonus podcasts. There's live talkovers.
Check.
Do you want to announce the live talkover for this month?
Yes.
We don't usually do this on the show, but it'd be nice to do it
We've
this
actually
month.
planned ahead.
Every month it's getting later and later because life and stuff. But we want to try and get in more of a swing of things, so we're going to do it earlier in the month as we should do. So this coming Saturday, we're doing a talkover for £8.50 and above Patreon subscribers. That's Saturday, 8th of May. Start at 9. Yep, start at 9.
Yep.
But all the details will be in the post on Patreon anyway. But we're going to doing a talkover of the Krypton Factor.
Yes,
That's
mate.
right. We're watching the Krypton Factor. Now, this was your idea, Sean.
Yeah.
Why did you choose the Krypton Factor?
Well, it seemed to keep coming up on the show for various reasons. And I just, out of curiosity, had a nosy on YouTube. And yeah, there's this one guy who seems to have uploaded shitloads of episodes of it. So
fucking loves it, doesn't he?
I'll have a quick scan through it. Maybe I'll Google for if there's any particularly controversial episodes of the Krypton Factor.
Hang on, this is going to be.
We'll definitely watch one of those then.
Yeah.
This is going to be like the old ones, though, yeah, like ones from a longer time ago.
Yeah, because it went through a weird. They try? I think they sort of tried to bring it back at one point, and it didn't really go anywhere. So yeah, It's going to be. I feel like it's going to be similar to the Cyberzone one, but a lot more sober. I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So you got that to look forward to. But please go over to patreon.com/TCGS and see the different tiers. Any support that you can sling our way is very much appreciated. Right. Let's get straight into the feedback, Matt. They all loved it last week, did they? All loved it.
Rafi, hey guys, just a couple of things for feedback. I did actually hear about the Lego Luigi story elsewhere before hearing on TCGS.
told you, James.
Ridiculous.
Bloody new. But cheer up, James, they say. TCGS is still my favourite, still my sole Google Stadia news source. Also, David's artist shit comment really spoke to me. I haven't looked at art the same way since my school took us on a trip to Tate Modern, where I was subjected to an old-fashioned TV playing a video of a man in a clown mask masturbating while wearing boxing gloves.
Fucking hell.
That's the episode title sorted. The school, for some reason, stopped taking us to museums after this outing. Arguably, the 2-hour coach trip back may have had something to do with it. Kids like to imitate. And a coach full of 10-year-olds pretending to masturbate probably was not their intention when trying to educate us on artistic cultures. But yeah, art is a bit shit. Wow.
You look up and see a shaking clown in the back of the school bus. You're like, oh no. Oh no.
I mean, imagine if that's how
have you got any boxing gloves?
Imagine if you found out that's how you found out that's what wanking was. And you're just
You have to put boxing gloves on.
Yeah, you have to put on boxing gloves and you have to dress up as a clown.
For the rest of your life.
That's the only way that you can. That's the only way you can do it.
You finally get into your 30s and you're open up to a mate and you're talking freely about masturbation. He goes, yeah, but the problem is that I have to keep, where do you get your clown makeup from? I beg your pardon? Do you use one of those rubber noses or one of the foam ones? Because it's such a pain in the arse.
And getting the stains out of the gloves. Oh, it's
and getting someone to tie up the gloves and,
Do you hang off the end of the bed? What do you do with them?
It's the only way I can get off. It's the fetish that, that's it. It's boxing gloves or nothing.
And the amount of train fares to the Tate Modern I've taken is just, when I was in my teens, I was going there 3 times a day. Right, okay,
And
sorry.
then also it.
We've
and it's all
stretched
very
that.
confusing. Diamond Garget has messaged saying, Matt, open your ears, you chief. Yeah, I had a few messages about this, me talking over Sean. Sorry, Sean. I'm going to blame a mixture of me being rude and Discord.
Oh, I was at the time, I wasn't upset because I knew it was Discord, because I know what it gets like sometimes.
Yeah, so for those, to bring you up to speed for those of you that haven't heard us talk about this before, because I've had a few emails about it recently actually, but the way we record, we all talk on Discord and record our local audio, right? So what you can hear is not what we're hearing at the time, and you know, every now and then Discord is really rough, and it just decides not to put someone's voice on the Discord for a little bit. So there are times where you're talking and I'm like, Matt's just talking over me here, but then you realise that obviously you just can't hear me.
Literally can't hear
unless
me,
he can.
Well, it does feel like sometimes you've got to stop talking to actually hear anything else.
Yeah, it's weird because it's not
like
even like a connectivity issue. I think like obviously sometimes there is a delay between people on the call. That doesn't help. But yeah, it seems to actively, like, as a way of managing like busy group conversations, it's like sometimes it'll just, like, if you're talking, it'll just essentially mute other people while you're talking, which is not as helpful as they seem to think. It's probably a setting we can turn off somewhere, but yeah. I
mean, it's probably great in like when you use it for what it's supposed to be, you know, like online game chat. But when you're podcasting, it doesn't really help, does it? I will say this though, Matt. Right, you usually go through the episode and edit that and tidy it up, right?
Yeah, normally.
You were too busy to properly do a proper edit last week, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would often. Well, it depending on the time, my time available, I would go through and painstakingly listen to every single second of the pod and make changes.
Yeah.
Or if I know there's no major edit points, I'll just top and tail it and make sure it's in sync, and that's that.
You got two other guys that can edit though, so if you're ever up against it, mate, all you got to do is lean on us. It's all good. It's all good. We're there for you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'll bear that in mind. No, I know.
You're not going to bear that in mind, are you? You're not going to bear that in mind.
I mean, well, I would have had to listen to every single. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'll do that.
No, he won't. He won't, listeners. He won't. Right. Okay. Should we get on to the next one?
J Cloth Ben, can we get a T-shirt with David Turner's TCGS on it?
Please, I would buy that. I would love to get one of those.
Would you really? Okay, all right, well, we get sorted. We're working on our store. There's some new teas coming. I'm really excited about them. So yeah, we'll keep that in mind. Matt's not, again, this is Matt, you're going to be dead against this idea, right?
No, I mean, we're downsizing our store, so, you know, I'm up for...
Well, no, downsizing sounds like a bad thing. We're refocusing it. It's going to be a laser-focused store.
Look at that. Sean's been to a marketing training course.
He's been
reading a book.
It's like Guinness with Hop House. You know, they're just getting rid of stuff and just focusing just purely on like, you know, some great stuff instead.
Doubling down on our successes.
Yeah, that's very upsetting, isn't it?
But you loved Hop House. Well, I want to go into that analogy even further there, James. You love Hop House, so what are you talking about?
It's very upsetting. It's very upsetting what happened there.
See, what you're saying is what we're doing to the store
exactly
is a bad thing.
Yes, I'm a bit upset about it, actually. But never mind.
You're upset about the store, what we're doing to the store?
No, the Hop House. I don't care about the store. It's
fucking hell.
Okay,
cool. When you chuck
But I would like a T-shirt with David Turner's TCGS on it. I would absolutely buy that because I think that'd be brilliant.
Okay, all right, we'll get it done.
Gary Seacroft, Matt's Luigi impression was so good, I'm surprised that he hasn't been headhunted by Frankie and Benny's.
But very funny, but did they intentionally say it was a Luigi impression when it was a Mario impression?
It was the impression of Mario saying Luigi, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's unprofessional.
That's right. That's fine.
That's embarrassing, Gary. That's fair.
But authentic Italiano accent. I think you definitely fit in it. Frankie and Benny's.
Yeah, can we do a little scene now, Matt, where you're working at Frankie and Benny's?
Go for it. Yeah, I'll just get into character.
The three of us sit down. Okay, right. We're just looking at the menus. You come over and say what?
Have you been here before?
Okay, when does this become offensive? Probably straight away, right?
I think,
Okay.
we're already there.
Well, we'll continue that
Okay,
next week.
let's move on.
Mike,
Find out the next
we'll get the whole
part
scene
of
done
our
in about
meal.
18 episodes.
See, it's weird because out of all of us, Matt is the one I could least imagine being a waiter. I just can't imagine it.
Whoa, really? He's top of the list.
Oh, no, I think Matt'd love working with the public.
No, seriously, I can't imagine it. He just doesn't have the right face
Why?
for it. I just can't
What does
imagine
that
it.
mean?
Well, yeah, what's that supposed to mean?
I don't know. I just can't imagine it. Like Dave, I could see you doing it. I could see you wearing like a polo shirt and like coming out and like doing the whole thing.
Is that is that a staple of a waiter?
Wow.
Is it wearing
We've
a
been some
polo
Yeah,
shirt?
top
definitely, yeah.
restaurants, as James.
Definitely, yeah. But you've got the right face for it as well. And it's just, but
What
the
sort of
face
waiters are you
got to do
thinking
with
of?
it?
The ones in McDonald's? what restaurants do you go to and they're busting out a polo shirt?
I don't know.
What are you thinking
well,
of,
like,
James?
what-
I'm thinking of like a harvester or somewhere like that. I can imagine you doing that.
They don't wear polo shirts. They wear the green shirt, don't
Yeah.
Do they? I don't know.
So
been a long
David's
time.
got the right face for it, but I've not got the right face for a harvester waiter.
I was
No.
going to say,
I just can't imagine it.
James goes into restaurants and like assesses the faces of all the staff
Yeah.
when he gets.
I think I've worked out what's happened here, Sean. Is that James is trying to pitch himself as the working class man, because I don't believe he's ever been in a harvester, and he just thought, the restaurants I work in, they're all in tuxes, but I'm just trying to think, I'm just trying to think. I think the working class restaurants probably wear a t-shirt, don't they? They wear a t-shirt with a brand on the back. No, James, it's not like that. We do smarten up, us working class,
Oh, really?
even in a
Okay.
harvester.
Yeah. What about in a Toby Carvery?
Okay.
What's that like?
Mate, I fucking love a Toby Carvery.
I was
Don't
going to
you
say,
get
James is
your...
like, look, I've heard of one other restaurant that.
Brewers Fair, Sean?
Right, go on.
Brewers Fair?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever been in a brewer's
I've
fair?
worked in hospitality before, James. I mean, I've done a little bit of waiter stuff when I worked in bars. And
What restaurant?
No, it was a holiday park.
Oh, right, okay. Does that count?
Well, I had to serve food when if someone wasn't available.
Okay, well,
You know, it doesn't
mate. Yeah.
Do you think I've got a face for a barman, James, or not?
Did you have? Yeah, but when you were doing that, did you have the beard, Matt?
No, because I was like 18.
Okay. Did you have a little teenage moustache?
No, because I was 18. No, I had nothing.
Did you have a little teenage moustache? That might be the episode title. I stop judging people's profession by their faces, James. It's weird. Right, okay, come on.
Yeah, Michael Weave. What is it with the Patreon subscriber system? It always charges you on the first, no matter when you sub for. It annoys me as someone who likes to manually sub and unsub each month. It also tells you that you haven't subscribed to anything if you do it this way. I always sub this way, so I don't have hundreds of subs that I forget about. Although this isn't as bad as subbing to a year of Apple TV, cancelling it, expecting for it to just auto-cancel when the time ends, but no, it just stops there and then, and they would not help me anyway, so I sold my Apple TV and iPhone after that.
This is a weird email.
So, yeah, basically, Patreon...
Hold on, I don't think it's a weird email. I think this is legit, isn't it? What he's complaining about is that, it's the way Patreon does it is kind of weird, because you don't subscribe and then get charged. Like, if you subscribe for a month, you don't then get charged again in a month's time.
Yeah.
You always get charged at the first, right? On the first.
Yeah.
Now, all I'll say in defence of that is that we are very, we even said it on last week's show. Don't subscribe at the end of the month because you get charged twice. You get, wait until the month ticks over and then subscribe. And to be fair to Patreon, although I don't agree with the way they do it, it does say as you're signing up, like it warns you that that's what's going to happen. But then, to be on Michael's side a little bit, who reads all that stuff when you're doing that sort of thing? Nobody is the answer to that.
Yeah, every time we get a sub towards the end of the month, I'm always worried. Like, okay, did they read the email? They know they're going to get charged again in a couple of days, right? Like,
yeah, it's a bit awkward, but it's literally nothing we can do. It's the service. It's what Patreon. But it's their rules basically.
Yeah.
So I apologise.
Don't do it at the end of the month. Do it the first week of the month, and
go full nails, baby. Yeah. That's the trick. That's the trick there.
I will say though, the Apple way of doing it is insane.
They all do that though. They all do it. It's all like
no, they don't.
No, you cancel Prime, and it'll say, "Brilliant, your Prime after this day, you have no more Prime. You can cancel now. That's fine.
that's true. But then they do the auto-renew.
The difference is that this is the trial, right? So whereas you pay for Amazon Prime for a month, this is a trial. All right, what was that noise? Because someone clip that noise, please. That made a weird noise then. Yeah, so I don't know. But then it's not a trial if they're giving it to you for a year with your new iPhone or whatever.
All of these, though, like PSN and Xbox Live and all that, they all set to like auto-renew unless you switch it off. Like, even if you they all do that. It's like
That's not what he's saying.
This is a different thing.
So what's this?
This is a different problem. He's saying when he cancels, he's been given a month's worth of Apple TV, or in this case, a year's worth of Apple TV. Mm-hmm. If he cancels it so he doesn't get charged again at the end of that year, it just automatically cancels it from that date. It doesn't let that year run out.
Yeah, you can't then keep using it. That is shocking, to be fair.
Yeah, it's shit. It is shit. Yeah, but what can you do? I mean, why are we?
Again,
we can't.
That's only on the free trial though, because if you do it if you're paying for it, it continues like until the end of the period.
James. But if they're using that 1 year free trial as an incentive to buy their products, then maybe they should let it run out. Why are we fielding questions about Apple's auto renew policy? Come on, let's move on.
Derek Deep Fat Fryer. Dave's call out for stories about trying and failing to break stuff has given me the chance to shine. Years ago, I worked in a nightclub. One of the daytime jobs was taking out and emptying the skips full of empties from behind the bar. You couldn't just tip them into a bin. Glass bottles had to be sorted by colour for recycling. It was a pain in the arse, or lower back to be more accurate, as you had to bend down low to the ground over and over, taking 1 or 2 bottles at a time. To vent your frustration doing it, you always had the option of smashing bottles into the bin as hard as possible. One morning I did this, but caught the lip of the wheelie bin with the bottle. Amazingly, it didn't break, but rebounded at speed straight at my face. Without a thought, I clapped my hands together and caught the glass bottle cleanly between my palms about a centimetre from the bridge of my nose. For a moment, I understand how Mr. Miyagi must feel, knowing that no danger in the world was a match for my inner calm, poise and cat-like reflexes. Unfortunately, the whole thing happened in about a second, and the guy helping me had his back turned, so the legend never grew. Until now.
Oh, what? Oh, man, that would kill me. I'd need to let everyone know that had happened, because even if you explain that to someone down the pub, it's just like, yeah, all right. Do you know what I mean? It's not that you wouldn't believe it, but it wouldn't sound as amazing as it was. Fuck. That is the most gutting part of the story.
It's a shame it had to end on a downer.
Yeah.
We've done
our bit to spread the story, though. That's,
Next time you tell that story, lie. Say you did it, and then someone, like a billionaire, walked past and said, "That's the coolest thing I've ever seen, kid," and gave you $3,000.
No.
Just
you did it, and then as I was doing it, there was like a tour bus just going past, and it stopped, and everyone applauded. And now I've got keys to the city.
Yeah, say that. Yeah, good, nice, like it. Go on.
Terry Tiny Whisk. Hey lads, listening to your feedback about smashing car windows and Matt wanting to go down to a scrapyard reminds me of my work experience in year 10. My dad is a firefighter.
What?
Yeah, my dad is a firefighter and let me and some friends do a week of work experience at the station. One day we went to a scrapyard and got to use all the fancy cutting tools they use at RTCs, to cut off doors and smash windows open.
Road traffic collisions.
That's what on, yeah. After a fun session using the hydraulic spreaders, my dad gave me an ice pick and told me to break a car window. I spent a good few minutes going crazy at the window and barely made a scratch. Instead, they used what looked like a big pen with a spring behind the tip and press it into the corner of the window. With minimal effort, the window just shatters. I felt pretty embarrassed. Anyway, thanks for the trip down memory lane. If you get a chance, go beat up some scrapped cars. It was cathartic and good fun.
Yeah, I think we might have to do something. Is that
a Slim Jim? Is that what I know? Oh, the Slim Jim's just like a thin piece of metal, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, Slim Jim. You go down the window. Yeah.
Yeah. No, because my dad's had to break into a few cars in the past.
Oh yeah.
No, sadly. Well, because he's a park ranger, but basically and he did it to pay for
Thief
the
on the side.
He's a Power
but
Ranger.
yeah, but also a car stealer.
So you just got one funny there. Your dad's a Power Ranger.
But yeah, park ranger, and occasionally, people would lose their keys and have their dog trapped in their car on a hot summer's day. So they would just be like, "Can you please break into my car?"
Sean.
Yep.
That's what he told you. I'm sorry to break it to you, but your dad was.
He's a park ranger.
The film Gone in
occasionally
60
steals
Seconds
cars.
was based on your dad.
I mean, if at any point in my childhood we'd had a single car that wasn't a total shitbox, then maybe I'd believe that he was stealing cars.
No, that's
Okay,
but
let me
that's
tell you
the
this.
best way to
He
do it.
sold the good cars.
Exactly.
And
I
he
see.
kept a crap one.
Plausible
so he was,
deniability,
If he turned up in a
Keep it on the
Lambo,
down
Sean,
low.
you'd twig.
He'd be like, "No, look, we don't need a Lambo. We've got the Citroen BX. It's got the hydraulic suspension. It's amazing."
But
No,
Dad,
they
you're a
haven't
park
adopted it as an
ranger.
industry standard, but it is good, I promise.
Dude, let me ask you this. Every time you went to the park as a kid, how many park rangers did you see, Sean? They didn't exist, mate. They didn't exist. All of a sudden, there was one, and you were like, "Oh, Dad, look, it's a park ranger. I'm going to ask if you know him." No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Do you not see him at all the annual general meetings for all the park rangers?
What are all these keys?
Sean, did your dad ever mention anyone breaking into the box that had all the parking money?
No.
Okay.
Did he leave a Choco Crisp on the dash a couple of times?
If you leave a chocolate crisp on a dash, that car's going to get smashed up.
Go on.
Joe has emailed, "Evening, lads. Nice to hear your enthusiasm for Matt putting his VR credentials on the line at my stag do. It should be quite the experience as the race seats move forward and air is blown past as you drive. I'll certainly be more than happy to send him a full report on how he gets on. The format of the day will be the group splitting into 2 races, followed by the fastest 10 facing off and slowest 10 facing off. Any thoughts on little forfeit if he ends up in the slowest final? Could he save face with a Resi 7 VR stream, perhaps?" No.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yes,
That's
Joe.
very good idea.
Yeah,
Pointless.
that's the way to do it, Joe.
Pointless.
That's absolutely right.
Be pointless.
Come on, Matt. You must be all right with that. You played through Half-Life Alyx, right?
And PT,
Not the
Jesus.
same.
No, you've got to do that.
Really?
That'd be
I mean,
brilliant.
Half-Life Alyx does have scary parts, but
That would be a brilliant. Did
will
you hear
be-
what
that will
James
be a
said then?
brilliant.
That will be a brilliant.
It will.
So
It will be a
let's-
brilliant
it
let's
will
get
be
that done.
brilliant. Good point. Didn't think about it that way.
Come on, Joe's right. I like Joe. I've got time for Joe. He's top Joe.
I think Joe should be our mate instead of Matt.
Yeah, same here.
Just think how often I paused playing PT. What am I going to do? I'm going to be constantly taking the helmet off.
That'd be quite funny, though.
You've started calling it the helmet.
Yeah, I know. Bad place to be at work as well.
Right, okay, yeah, all right. That's happening.
I think that's a silly idea, but we'll move on. A brand redacted stainless steel deep fat fryer has messaged us.
What brand is known for stainless steel deep fat fryers?
And and presumably there's some sort of controversy that means they can't actually give the brand name.
Okay. All right.
Now, there's now law in the names. There's a history. I like it. Howdy, folks. I've been listening to the show for a couple of months now, and I've clocked the trend of listeners submitting questions and feedback while identifying themselves as kitchen equipment. How and why did this start, and is it time for us to move into a new room? I've got some cracking bathroom puns for future use if I open to a communal relocation.
What was the full Nels?
So it was Jack Oven.
Jack Oven,
And
right?
then-
So we had, a full Nels member called Jack Oven, and then for years,
Still do.
for months, there was a new. Oh, is Jack Oven still full Nels?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry,
How
Jack.
quickly he forgets. Fucking hell.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, that's terrible, isn't it?
That's Jack's
Sorry, Jack.
sub gone next month.
Yeah, no, I've
We
absolutely
got a
fucked
full
it there.
nail.
And then someone else went full Nels and used the name Jill Fridge.
Yeah.
And we were saying Jack Oven, Jill Fridge for ages. And then someone, was it Gary Dutton
Yeah.
emailed in and said, have you not noticed that it's Jack Oven, Jill Fridge? We read that out on the show. And then from then on, we've just had various different kitchen appliances in the name. So that's where it all started. And to be honest with you, there's a few people I've said, I'm getting a little bit tired of the comedy names now. I'm not. I'm loving them. I'm still loving them.
Keep them going.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Yep.
well open for moving into the bathroom. Why not?
Could do. I
sure.
think we've got a good mix of like most people not doing it, but the occasional one is good. I think if we'd had like months of everyone doing it, it would have got a bit much. But yeah,
Well, I
I
don't
think it
know
works.
if we would. Go on.
But I also like someone who listened to the show and just every name being, related to an appliance. And like, what? Why? How? Why? What the fuck is this?
This must just be a weird coincidence. I don't know.
This is very weird. David Ricardo has messaged, please pull some string to get Sean into a driving game as an NPC traffic cop. I know you're busy finalising contracts for James's voice acting career, but I'd love to see Sean pulling over Toad in the next Mario Kart. Pulling over. Or breaking up the street races in the next Need for Speed Underground. If all that's a hassle, modding him into Juiced will work just as well.
I think the Need for Speed one would work better because I'd just be this sort of irate, ineffectual... What, sorry?
It's got to be an open world game, right? Like a Grand Theft Auto style thing.
What, where I'm sort of chasing you around and like chasing you around, blowing my whistle?
No, it has to be GTA, so you can do a role-playing server, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought the point is I'm actually being canonically inserted into the game, not just going online and pretending.
No, yeah, exactly. So you're actually, like, for the next GTA, imagine, there's a traffic cop, like, in the middle of one of the junctions, and it's you, and you can just full pelt, full speed, just blast into you. Like, that would be great.
See, I like the idea of that. The other thing that I think would be good for Sean to do...
I like the idea of that, but, go on.
No, you know, like at the beginning of like games, like quite a long time ago, they used to have like somebody like waving a flag at the beginning of the game. Like
in the beginning, yeah.
You mean specifically driving
like
games,
check a flag,
not just any game.
Yeah, I like Sean to do that. I think it'd be good.
Yeah, be the
if
flag
he had
guy.
like a big flag and then had to like wave it to start it.
Can I be? What was her from the Ridge Racer games in the white dress? I'll dress up as her.
Yeah. No, do that.
Yeah,
do that.
Cool. All right, get
Sean,
it done. We should update Sean about James's voice acting career because we haven't actually mentioned it on the show.
Not?
No, it happened on the stream, but we're pretty sure we've got James into a video game, haven't we? Sean?
Yeah, I still need to actually email them. But yeah, it was when I streamed. Oh God, I've forgotten what it was called. That Lord Winklebottom, the point and click adventure with the giraffe. And I mentioned when I was on the stream that so it's still very much in production, and there was only I think it was like 2 people doing all the voices. And and as I was streaming it, the dev turned up and was watching, which was really nice. Somewhat nerve wracking, obviously, especially because it was like point and click adventure, and I was getting stuck quite a bit. And then they said like, oh yeah, there's going to be more voices in the full game, and I was like, right, I'm really sorry to do this, but is there any chance you would consider hiring one of us? And they seem to be up for it, so yeah, we need to actually drop them an email.
Yeah, let's send an email. Let's get James into that game because that'd be brilliant.
Yep.
But what killed me though, right, and this shows you how much of a nasty ego that I've got, is that there was a character in it. What was it? Was it a bull working in a pub, or was it a frog working in a pub?
It was a bulldog, wasn't it?
Like oh, there we go. So I said, was it a bull or a dog? No, bull or a frog. Actually, it was a bulldog. So I was close.
Similar noises.
But yeah, proper Cockney accent. And I was just like, I'd fucking love that part. Working in the pub, all grumpy and Cockney. Yes, please. So maybe that'll be it. Maybe we'll all be in it. And then we'll review it and give it a 10. Yeah. Yep.
It was good.
Go on.
Giles Kirkwood. Hello, chaps. I just saw Dr. Farley yawn his way through the new Resident Evil demo stream, and I thought it might be a great idea to have a live stream a visit to the haunted Chillingham Castle. Cheers.
Oh, mate. James on one of those ghost hunting shows with the night vision and everything. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah. That would be so good.
How do you think you'll be able to handle that, James? Easy or?
I think it'd be fine. I really think it'd be fine.
Yeah, I'd imagine that James would be totally fine with that. Like, you won't be bothered at all. Yeah. Like, I think you'd enjoy it, but you stay the night in a haunted house.
Mm-hmm.
What a live stream that would be. I just, just with the night vision would be enough. Just seeing your little face all green and that.
Would the camera stay on when he's asleep?
Yeah, definitely.
Just in case.
Yeah, because there'll be bangs in the night, no doubt, and we'll see him wake up. Go,
see him wake up in a clown makeup and a pair of boxing gloves on.
Joking it.
Or people can spend people can spend channel points to like set off sound effects and stuff.
I think they'd be more terrified by my snoring. Seriously. Like the noise, the racket from that.
What do you mean, the ghosts?
Yeah.
I'd be like, fucking hell. Have you heard it in there?
We should do it.
We should I feel like when everything's safe again, I feel like we should do sort of somehow stream an actual thing of us in person together. But I don't know what that would involve.
So yeah, I get that, but you know this, right? Like we're all thinking, once this is over, I'm never going to take things for granted again. This is it.
Yeah.
It's a guaranteed 2 months later. We're like, oh fucking hell, I just want to stay in.
We still
today.
haven't got the time or money to hang out together
Thing is,
twice
I'm
a year.
fed up of going out.
Can I do a series of challenges? Like haunted
Oh my God,
house.
yes.
Haunted house. For whatever parkour. That kind of thing. We could just do
true. Yeah, with that,
James,
we've still got
James,
parkour in the back pocket.
this. Yes, 100% you can do that, for sure.
Yeah.
Go on, do it.
It could be quite fun. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that.
Brilliant.
That's
I mean,
that done.
a 2,000-year-old haunted house or whatever it is. I don't think they exist from 2,000 years ago, but a really, really old haunted house will probably have better Wi-Fi than what you got in yours, though, right?
Almost
so we should
certainly,
be
yeah.
good for streaming.
This is why James isn't bothered. He already lives in a haunted house.
It's great actually because if we get one with really great roof structure, we can do parkour in the day, and then haunted
all in one
house
stream.
live stream at night.
Just parkouring over ghosts and shit. Yeah, I'm well up for that. That'd be quality. All right, okay, let's go.
Dave, you're really showing yourself up there. Ghosts famously don't come out in the day.
Ah, man. All right.
They just do nighttime shit.
Embarrassing.
Sorry, man. I dropped the ball there.
Someone doesn't know they're ghosts, Sean. Oh.
Right, go on. Next
Paul
email.
Walker, Emig.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, guys. Long-time listener since the JoyPod days, first-time emailer. I was
Hey.
talking to Dave about a
Wow.
project I've been working on, and he said I should get in touch with the show, so I'll be happy to give it a shout-out. So that's what I'm doing. David.
That doesn't sound like me, does it? Does that sound
No,
like me?
you must even.
No.
No, someone else. I've just launched a
I got hacked.
Kickstarter. I've just launched a Kickstarter for a book called Object Orientated Exploring Video Games Through Items. As you can probably tell from the title, it's a book about objects in video games with chapters dedicated to keys, maps, clothes, food, drugs, swords, and so on. The idea is to delve into what makes some of the more interesting examples stand out and to analyse how they reflect on elements of our culture, society, and politics. Stuff like why meat is always top tier when it comes to regaining health, what Agent 47's use of disguise in Hitman tells us about the symbolic power of clothes, and how Soul Calibur subverts the chosen word sword myth. The idea came out of a podcast I did called Get Object, which was also about objects in games and of which Dave was a listener. I'm sure he will tell you how great it was. When the godfather of the UK video game podcast scene speaks, you should listen. Who's he referring to there?
Get Object was an excellent podcast, for sure.
Anyway, it would be really cool if people could check it out. The Kickstarter video is only 2.5 minutes long, and I think it explains the pitch really well. I guess the easiest way to find it would be to either search Object Orientated on Kickstarter or go to @GetObjectBook on Twitter, and you'll find the link to it there. Actually, by the way, as you're reading this, Kickstarter's not actually live, but by the time your episode comes out, it will 100% be live. There you go.
Nice.
Thanks very much. Appreciate y'all. That's from
Cool.
Paul.
We'll definitely check out that Kickstarter, and because that does sound interesting. I
does,
would like
that
to
sounds
know
really good.
why
Yeah.
food is most commonly used as health items in video games. But yeah, good luck with your Kickstarter, Paul. And yeah, I hope our listeners check it out.
And that's it for feedback. Leave us feedback. Go
Brilliant.
to
Read the room.
tcgs.co/dear TCGS if you want to leave us feedback.
James, you got any news, mate? You got any news in your back pocket?
I've got a bit of news. There's a couple of little things happened this week. We had a
Oh my god.
Couple of
cheeky little morsels in my back pocket.
Couple of fucking little bits out of
There's
pocket.
been a couple of bit of fucking news, you little cunt.
Come here, darling. Get this dude around your fucking dick.
wasn't where I was going with that, but anyway.
No, but it's where you went.
Yeah.
Go on.
So anyway, there was a Ratchet and Clank state of play the other day. This happens. They showed Ratchet and Clank for like 15 minutes. Then they also revealed that there was Among Us for PlayStation's coming, and also Subnautica Below Zero, which I thought looked really nice. But did anyone see the Ratchet and Clank stuff at all?
No.
No.
I saw bits of it.
I saw the new
sort of skimmed
trailer.
through it. It looks incredible.
Yeah, it looked very good.
It looks incredible. Yeah.
But there you go.
Good,
I
go
mean,
on, but
there's
what?
not much else to say about it, is there? I mean, it looked really nice. It's coming out soon. Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, I just hope I just hope there's more to it. I guess so I played a big chunk of the PS4 Ratchet and Clank game, and it looked incredible, right? Because I think I played it in 4K as well, just when the PS4 Pro come out, and it looked stunning, but it didn't have enough there to just keep me interested. I didn't fall in love with the characters or the story or anything like that. And I thought the later levels were a bit of a letdown over the early ones. Didn't deliver on the promise of the earlier the game. But the scenes where you're literally travelling through completely different environments in the blink of an eye, it's exciting. I hope it manages to have the game behind it to back it up.
I know what you're saying though, Dave, because I always felt... I mean, I've played... the only Ratchet and Clank game I've ever played was the PS4 one, and it was good. I did enjoy it, but it always feels to me like it's a kind of B-tier, platformer. Do you know what I mean? It's not... It's not amazing. They're not amazing games.
I find
They're
it less
just
of a
solidly
platformer,
good.
more of a...
shooter, yeah?
Sort of a scale-back shooter, yeah. More of a... Not child-friendly shooter, but not as intense a shooter as... It feels like you can have a lot of fun in it, but ultimately I wasn't fighting new things all the time, and I think that was it. The variety was lacking. But I don't know. Who knows? I mean, hopefully they've really gone for it this time, and this is going to blow us away. But we'll see. They're certainly doing everything right with the lead up to it, because the trailers they put out and the stuff they've shown looks fantastic.
Yeah.
See, I'll tell you what. Sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to say what I really would like to see is another Jak and Daxter. But what I mean by that is the original Jak and Daxter, not 2 and 3, where they added guns and all that kind of stuff. Because that first Jak and Daxter game was so good on PS2.
It really was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I loved that first Jak and Daxter game. Yeah,
it was brilliant.
I can't see them bringing those
I haven't played
characters
Ratchet and Clank before, but I think I'm going to get this unless unless it performs badly in reviews. It looks fantastic, and I can't wait to see it. But it feels like from the trailer at least, it's quite story heavy. And has it had the previous ones been, or is it just the way they're kind of
the PS4
training
one
that
was
was quite story heavy, yeah.
Because that one they even released part of that as a film as well, into the cinemas. There was
that's right. That's right. I remember that.
It wasn't very good.
Anyone went to see it? But I remember them doing that. That was odd. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's the next big one that's coming out reasonably soon, which is really good. Okay, now the other thing that's happened is that there's been loads of stuff keeps coming out about the Epic versus Apple, case. But then I'm not going to talk about that because I think it's pretty boring. We've talked about it loads before. But there has been loads of little bits and pieces that have come out of it because of court documents that have been revealed, like emails and stuff. So there was internal Microsoft documents revealing that they were planning to slash the price of the cut that they got for digital downloads through the store. So what this is a document that was dated for January 2021, and it said that what was going to happen was that they were going to move from 88%, 12% in this year. That was what was going to happen. This has happened now on PC, hasn't it? Or it is happening imminently, on the PC store, as far as I understand.
Oh, I've no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been announced on PC. I don't know about when,
Okay.
but it's been announced that it's going to happen.
Yeah. So that has happened, and with this caveat, though, that if you do this, you've also got to release the game on xCloud as well. That's one of the it seems to be one of the terms and conditions. For if you go for the lower rate, then you have to provide an xCloud version. And there was suspicion that what was going to happen is this was going to happen to the Xbox as well. But then apparently this has now been clarified that they've said that they've got no plan now to update the revenue split for console. It's just going to be happening on PC. Surely this is coming, isn't it? This is going to happen. And the really interesting thing about this is this idea, it's got here, it says there is a proposal currently under gaming leadership team consideration to adopt 88/12 as a public PC games revenue share for all games in exchange for the grant of streaming rights to Microsoft. So I'm wondering here whether they're planning this, aren't they, where it's going to be they'll cut the price of this, for developers, but then there's going to be strings attached, as in either things like exclusivity
I can only see that the offering the streaming stuff is only going to be beneficial to the publishers and the devs of the games themselves, right? Because wider audience potentially once that thing takes off in any meaningful way. It's not a bad thing to do.
No.
Do you know the first thing that come to mind with all these leaks?
Go on.
Do we get to see who received the emails?
No, because that's the thing. It's like because I've got that with this Sony one as well, which is really weird because it's got this email, but like the Verge article this is from doesn't actually make it clear who it's gone to and where because it's a very strange email.
That sucks because I'd love to know if Major Nels was getting copied in on all of this.
Yeah.
Like there's a stipulation that if you're contacting Microsoft, then the big N needs copying in. Yeah, get a copy in that Nelson.
Yeah, in the Epic and Apple one, you are seeing who emails are being sent and received by. So it's really fascinating.
So reducing their cut of the revenue from game sales or whatever does actually feel like it makes a lot of sense. Like, obviously exclusives are a big deal, especially at the moment when, let's face it, there aren't a huge amount between the Xbox and the PS5. So rather than throwing cash around to secure exclusives, just make your marketplace a lot more favourable to developers and just let them
there's that,
work
there's that,
out.
And there's also that saving money for Microsoft, and unless they will lose money from the revenue that
this is obviously
make,
there's a balance to be struck there, isn't there? Yeah, they'll be losing money on sales, but then if it stops them having to get the wallet out every time they want an exclusive, effectively, it puts the onus on the games developers and the publishers, doesn't it? Yeah.
It puts them, look, if you want to make money, then you've got to sell things, and we'll give you a bigger chunk for every sale that you make. Yeah. So, it makes total sense. But, these deals, they're so far beyond our comprehension and understanding because we don't know, all the background workings, the stats and all that sort of shit, that it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. Like, from the outside, it looks like win-win for everyone, but Epic might be looking at that and going, well, no, that big old chunk of change that you offered or that you could have potentially offered would have been quite nice. Who knows? We've got to sell 14 billion items to make up that money that you would have given us in the first place.
There is that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, but it's not much to comment on. Yeah,
and I do wonder whether there's any regulations about this as well, because I'm not saying this is like dumping, but it's starting to get towards dumping. If you do this, well, it's not legal to slash the price of something so much just to gain market share. You can't dump loads of stuff into the marketplace like a massive loss just to grab market share. You can't do that. There's regulations against that, and I'm just wondering whether this is in any way.
What do you mean dump? Sorry, explain that a little bit. Okay. What do you mean dump a load of stuff on a marketplace? What do you mean?
Okay, so you're not. As far as I'm aware, there are rules in place, competitive rules and everything, whereby you're not allowed to take stock, take a load of stock, and then just release it for an incredibly low price just to grab market share. There's rules against that, as far as I know. I'm sure I'm going to be corrected.
But that's not what they're doing.
No, I know that's what Dave. I just said. Is it getting close to that? If you'll start to do things like this.
Well, because there's a parallel there, isn't there, with some of the stuff that Apple have pointed out, and I'm sorry, this is getting into Apple versus Epic now, which I said we wouldn't do, but Apple's whole thing, or part of their argument has been look, this is how many millions Epic are pissing away on just giving stuff away, or offering massive discounts on the Epic Store just to get people onto the Epic Store. That's the only thing enticing people at the moment. Therefore, that's not legitimate competition, because they're just giving stuff away in order to establish their own slice of the market, and that's not fair competition.
Okay, fine, but that's not what's going on here, because the deal is more that it's a replacement of a payment, isn't it? That saving that they're talking about in terms of how much they're offering Epic per sale or whatever, that's not being passed on to the consumer, is it?
Yeah, it's not like prices are being reduced for consumers accordingly, is it?
Yeah. So I think this is more a situation of, hey, we'll pay less for the stock up front, but you'll get more of a cut of each sale. It's a different thing completely, I think.
But it's going to be better for consumers. Even if no cost savings are moved off, given to the end customer, this is going to mean every dev might as well put it on Xbox or put all PC platforms if it's only if I get a much greater revenue share. People who might have thought before, I'll just put it on PlayStation or Switch. Now, I'll definitely put it on Xbox if it's only if I'm getting 88% of the revenue share.
You do wonder though, at what point are Microsoft going to make money? Like, at what point is that? You know what I mean? You look at Game Pass and all that stuff, and now they're saying, "Yeah, fuck it." Like they're making all these moves, and it's like I'd love to know how.
But it's a
much
long-term
money,
plan. Like they just need the numbers
bleeding.
because Sony is killing them in that regard. So, you know,
Yeah.
just get people
Okay.
into the ecosystem. I mean, like we've talking about Game Pass for ages. When all the deals end, people are so used to the value of Game Pass, and actually that's just part of how people play games and so on and so forth. That when the deals end, people will still think, "Oh, it's £8 a month. I'll definitely do it." You know, there's so many good things added to it, and that's ultimately what they want. They want more people on Game Pass because, you know, unlike manufacturing hardware, there's less of a, you know, I'm sure it's costing them less in deals than it is on manufacturing hardware and shipping hardware and storing hardware. And yeah, but it's fascinating to see all these changes.
It'd be
But
interesting.
what
We
is
don't
interesting is
really
that
know
they said,
enough, though, do we?
no, the crow here, like the response is that they, in a statement issued to The Verge, Microsoft said, "We will not be updating the revenue split for console publishers." Now, that's not the usual. We have nothing to announce today about revenue split for console publishers. That feels very certain, doesn't it?
For the moment, yeah. Can I also just clarify this dumping thing so that I don't get corrected? Because I will definitely be corrected. Okay, so trade dumping.
What, corrected about what?
About what dumping is, because it's actually related to countries doing
I
this,
think you were right,
not
weren't you?
companies. Well, no, because it's
Okay.
generally
Right.
for like if a country like sells like exports to gain market share, and then you basically you destroy the competition by selling something for much cheaper, and then you raise prices like after you've done that. That's what's kind of not legal. But I'm pretty certain companies can do that as well. But someone of them will definitely explain and correct me because I'm probably wrong. But that's that. So anyway.
Okay.
So we had all this, but then also there's been stuff revealed about Sony hating crossplay, which obviously we all knew that they hated crossplay.
Whoa, no way.
Yeah. But then there's been this emails that have like come out from this are quite interesting. I mean, can I read the email because I think it's very interesting, like the points it comes up because it's got.
I will say this up front, right? It's hilarious how like informal Epic's email to Sony is. Compared to Sony's email to Epic. It's really funny. It really, I don't know, it just frames it in a funny way. Go on.
Okay, so this was from Joe, is it Joe Kreiner? Or Kreiner? I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but he's the head of business development. And he wrote this thing just saying, "We love working with PlayStation and we want this to be a win-win. The longer this drags out, it will be less so. I can't think of a scenario where Epic doesn't get what we want. That possibility went out the door when Fortnite became the biggest game on PlayStation. Here's what I propose." I mean, that's just a really weird statement, like an opening statement to just say, like, we're going to win this, so it's, you've got to do what we say.
You can do this the easy way or the
take it
hard
now
way,
or-
basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
So here's
Incredible.
what they propose. He says, "We give you the data you are asking for, plus the marketing data ask." Then it says, "Epic deeply integrates Sony's esports API into UE4 as an engine-level feature. We market and advertise it as a first-class citizen of the engine." And then it's got in brackets, "Maybe E3 announce?" ? And we support it in Fortnite.
I love shit like that.
Yeah. Then it says, number 3, "We announce crossplay in conjunction with Sony. Epic goes out of its way to make Sony look like the heroes. You get to pick the when, where, and how." Number 4, "Epic brands its E3 presence with PlayStation. We're planning a 100-player Celebrity Pro-Am with huge after-party. Budgets I've seen are huge, and it will be the biggest event at E3. Then it's got in brackets, "Maybe we announce with the celebs on stage. New partnership plus," which is really interesting.
God, how much would you hate being a celeb in that lineup? Can you come and just stand on stage and wave a bit just to fill this contract, please? Like, it's just, go on.
Then number 5, "Epic's willing to explore more items. Maybe we can commit to a game at the launch of your next VR platform." Number 6, "PlayStation Plus. Maybe we do something extra special for a month. Offer a unique character or something highly valuable to drive PS Plus adoption even more." And then number 7, "Epic extends the Sony company-wide UE4 license. I don't think I've mentioned this before, but your license to use UE4 expires on May 2019. That license has some of the best terms we've ever offered for UE4. Then finally, let's make this a huge win for all of us. Epic's not changing its mind on the issue, so let's just agree on it now." So
Wow.
then Sony responded.
I mean, that's a strong email.
So Gio Corsi, Sony's senior director of developer relations, responded and just said that like cross-platform play is not a slam dunk, no matter the size of the title. As you know, many companies are exploring this idea, and not a single one can explain how cross console play improves the PlayStation business. But then they did appear to come obviously up with a solution, because it does exist now, and they had this document that's called the Cross-Platform Policy Requirements and Process. And what this is it seems that it says there's a cross-platform revenue share which forces publishers to pay Sony a royalty whenever PlayStation players contribute more than a certain percentage to the bottom line of a cross-platform game. And they say this is to offset the reduction in revenue that they get from enabling crossplay. And yeah, it says Sony also stipulate that the policy that publishers can't transfer virtual currency to or from the PlayStation, and there has to be a setting to disable all cross-platform interactions if they want them to. So yeah, this is pretty interesting.
Here's the thing. You know what like made me feel dirty. I mean, we all know that this is the case anyway. But what made me feel dirty about this email was it was just confirmation that Sony see their customers, their PS Plus customers and all the people that use their systems as things to barter with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, well, we've got these players and you want them. We can give you these players if you want, but you need to prove that you deserve them. And it's like, fuck off, mate. Don't use this as like some sort of
at least
fucking poker chip.
Like, so yeah, Joe Kreiner, the Epic guy's email is like, although the tone is very unusual, I say, and it's very like,
it's one of those ones you'd read back before you hit send and go, do I sound a bit too much of a dick in this?
Is this a lot? but he is offering a lot. It's not just like, our game's huge, fuck you, do what we say. Like, he is putting forward a lot of ideas, like, here's stuff we can do for you. Which I also love. Like, imagine being in a position in your career where you just like, look, Sony, we'll make you a VR game, probably. I don't know. We'll have someone who can do that, I guess. We're Epic, fuck it. Like, but yeah, I don't know. Like, although he is obviously hardballing, like, he is offering a bunch of stuff at the same time, whereas Sony is very much just like, no, we don't think any of this is a good idea, go away.
Yeah.
Which may be unfair.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, strange.
Yeah, it's funny how the Microsoft and other platforms look at something like Fortnite and see it as a gain to cross-play because they're a smaller market share. Whereas you look at Sony and how big they are, it's like kind of like, well, actually, what are we gaining? That everyone else is gaining, but they'd be gaining because we're joining. So yeah, I mean, it's all fucking horseshit,
isn't
it?
Just no one cares business and doing whatever, isn't it? It's
ultimately, I guess it comes down to Sony presumably believed that. So hypothetically, if there are people who don't have a PlayStation and would like to play Fortnite with people, friends who have got PlayStations and are playing Fortnite on the PlayStation, Sony's view is, well, then those people without a PlayStation should and will buy one. Whereas Epic's view is like, well, no, they probably won't, but they will start, but those people with a PlayStation who want to play Fortnite with friends who aren't on a PlayStation will then be more likely to try Fortnite on the PlayStation and start spending money, and everyone benefits.
Yeah.
So it's just two worldviews, isn't it, I guess?
Yep.
Okay. Also, PlayStation or Sony have announced a new partnership with Discord. So what this is
wow.
So this is weird, isn't it? Because we had all that, like Microsoft trying to buy Discord, or then all the talks fell out and it didn't happen. And Discord said, "Yeah, we're going on our own. Yeah, we're not. We don't want to be taken over." And that is what they're doing. I mean, they're just going. This is investment. This isn't like because like Sony invested in Epic as well. They invested like a small amount of money into them as well, and they've done the same with Discord. But then they've also said, this is the quote. They said, "Together, our teams are already hard at work connecting Discord with your social and gaming experience on the PlayStation Network. Our goal is to bring the Discord and PlayStation experiences closer together on console and mobile, starting early next year, allowing friends, groups, and communities to hang out, have fun, and communicate more easily while playing games together." So as David, as you said in our WhatsApp group, this is going to be a Discord app, isn't it? I think for PlayStation.
Yeah, it should be a Discord app on PlayStation. Yeah. It's not going to replace anything. It's not going to integrate their systems into Sony's system. It will be a Discord app. You download it, you log in, you've got your Discord thing, and then you can use it for voice chat if you want.
No, it won't be that.
I think that's the way they're going to go.
It won't be that.
Go on.
What it will be is PlayStation Plus in Poland gets a month's free Nitro.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be anything major. I think I still think Sony would have invested in Discord to get it on their system, to put the investment into for someone over at Discord to create an app for the PlayStation. I think that's probably what's happened there, but I don't think it's like a major deal.
It's odd though, isn't it?
What's odd about it?
Well, it's odd in the sense of like, if you're okay, as we've just seen with the crossplay stuff, Sony really want to keep you locked into whatever they're doing, into their systems.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Yeah,
and then you're like bringing an alternative like ecosystem in here of like communication and everything. It's just a bit odd, to be doing that.
Yeah, no, I think that, but I as much as I agree, but I think Discord is expanding like all the time. The user base is getting bigger and bigger, and if they can get if they can invest in that by letting them be part of it, then they're investing in something and helping it expand further. I think that's not a terrible business decision, is it? I mean, I don't know if that's what they're doing based on this fucking article, but I think it has to be
about cross-platform as well. I think, cross-platform genie's out of the bottle. They can't put it back. That's just, their hand's being forced through Microsoft or Epic or whoever it was.
Or the email or 100 celebrities at
E3. So they might as well try and do what they can. And this is like, people, a vast majority, I don't know numbers, but I'm sure a lot of gamers use Discord for their cross-platform communications. If Sony can somehow own a bit of that by fully integrating it with their service, that's like maybe that's something else for PlayStation Plus owners only or something else. I don't know. We'll see
what comes of it. I think
it's fully integrated. There's a reason to.
God, just imagine a Discord app on Switch though. That would solve so many problems. They just did that. It's not going to happen.
No. Well, no. If they added a Discord app to the...
Do you know what?
Go on, sorry.
So I played Animal Crossing for the first time in ages today.
Oh, me too, actually.
Because Harry wanted to link up with his cousin. Visit each other's islands or whatever. I did that, and I noticed that the bloody duck on it at the airport turned around and goes, "Better fire up the old internet." And I was like, "No, Nintendo, you don't get to call it the old internet when you seem to not. You've only just realised that it exists. Like, you can't call it the old internet. I'm sorry, you can't do that." What a weird fucking experience that is, trying to get that online. What's your dojo code? Oh, Jesus. Sorry. Go on.
It is absolutely terrible. I don't want to get into Animal Crossing because it's ridiculous. Like how little they've done for that game. Like over considering how many people are playing it, how big it's been, and how little they've done with it is just shocking. But never mind.
It's that because and we didn't even talk about it because we've kicked Animal Crossing around so many times over the last year. But didn't they did a video being like, "Oh, here's everything that's coming in the next year," and obviously it's just all the same events again with minor tweaks, which obviously is not unusual for Animal Crossing because that's generally how it works. But it's just like, why even make a fuss about it? Why put a video out if you're not really doing anything? And, it's sold, 35 million copies or whatever at this point. So obviously Nintendo, I guess, have taken the view that they simply don't need to do anything extra to it. But again, it just reminds me of like the Mario Kart 8 situation where it's like, I know you don't need to make more tracks for it, but you could, and I would buy them and enjoy them. So why, please, come on.
Where's the new structures? Where's like having a few more buildings? A few more sort of things that like they had in all of the other Animal Crossing games. Yeah. Where have they all gone? It's just I don't know. It blows my
crazy.
Mind.
I also played it today for the first time in months because Elodie started playing it again, and mostly she was ransacking my house and everything in my storage, and had to send her 1.3 million bells because she ran out of money.
Which, of course, was a fraction of your amassed fortune at this point.
Well, I've still got 24 mil in the bank, so it's like, you can have it, whatever. But I was walking around thinking, there's going to be new people, there's going to be new things. No, it's just exactly the same. We're going to a shop. Like, we haven't bought anything for a year or however long it is. I guess it's... No, I was playing for 6 months. 6 to 9 months, haven't played a game. There must be loads of new cool items in the shop. No, I've got all these things.
Still got that baseball glove seat.
Still got that.
Still got that one in the
thing.
shop, is it? Yeah. The little pond thing. The pool. Oh,
Shame.
wow, we got the pool. Go on.
Okay. So official PlayStation magazine is no more, and it's become Play magazine now. And this is kind of a big deal because it's been going obviously for 25 years, and it was the last officially licensed console magazine in the UK. Because all the others had already closed, like official Nintendo magazine and the Xbox magazine had already closed. So, I mean, this is what Future Publishing said. They said, all good things come to an end. Along with Sony, we felt the official PlayStation magazine had finally earned a well-deserved retirement. However, we still love PlayStation and magazines, and we know you do too. So, Play magazine came to life. And it's basically the same editorial team for OPM are now doing Play, which is, as Eurogamer said, that's better than what happened to the Xbox team that were just laid off or whatever. So,
and the official Nintendo mag.
Yeah, they just got rid of all of those. But
I read that, I hear that quote, and I think bullshit. It's like they say, along with Sony, we felt the official PlayStation magazine.
We agree.
Actually, what Sony said, no, we should probably kill this, and we're like, yes, we agree.
We
do you know what?
Anyway, we were
we
thinking of not bothering anymore as well. Actually,
we didn't want to work on anything. You fucking bastard.
So, but it's the same. Basically, the new magazine is the same people. Same everything, isn't it? It's just it's not official,
which I think is fine. I think, as we've said, with the Xbox and the Nintendo ones being a thing of the past for a long time now. Is anyone really fussed? Is anyone still really like, no, I'm going to buy the official PlayStation magazine because that makes an appreciable difference? It's just not really a thing anymore. So fine.
I mean, it's crazy though, because it's like when you if you read through the Eurogamer article, it's quite interesting because they talk about at the peak, OPM was the best selling video game magazine in the world. They were shifting 500,000 copies a month, which was more than FHM or whatever. And now it's
amazing.
Yeah,
and FHM had nudie ladies in.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, but wow. I mean, basically what happened here was that because Future apparently used to pay Sony for the license, just to stick official on the cover of it, and obviously they're now no longer going to do that. But it is a shame, I think, because it's just, I mean, how many video game magazines have Future got left now? It's hardly any, right? It's
hardly any. Do you know what kills me the most is that I would genuinely at this point subscribe to an official Nintendo magazine. I think just because I know that I'd read it and Harry would read it. And that'd be well worth buying.
Because did the official one get
anymore.
Canned during the Wii U era, or was it after?
I think it was towards the end of the Wii U era.
Yeah,
wasn't it? which or maybe the start of the Switch era, which is they're probably regretting that now.
Well,
I'd love to have just stuff about all Nintendo shit. I love all that.
I think Games Master's still going, isn't it?
No, I don't think it is.
Oh god, did they get rid of that? Oh no, they're right. Yeah, they got rid of that as well.
I think that went about a year or two ago.
Bollocks.
But yeah, you do wonder. It's great that the editorial staff and everyone is carrying on with this Play thing, but how long's that going to last? I know it sounds awful, and I'm sorry if you work on it and you listen to this. You probably don't, but and I hope it is a massive success because we love video game magazines, but. I haven't bought one in
We love video game magazines, we just can't name any of them.
Well, no, that's the problem. That's it, though, isn't it? I loved video. That's probably the right way of saying it. I loved video game magazines back when I was of a certain age.
Obsessed with them. I was spending loads every month on loads of different ones.
Way too much, baby. But, it really does feel like that era's over and it's sad and everything, but I can't see how a video game magazine can survive anymore. It's nuts. It's nuts at the moment.
Obviously, the internet's here, and that kind of killed a lot of it. Because, it is. I've read about it.
Nintendo.
In paper. But and I assume just kids as well. Also, if they want video game news, they have to go to YouTube. They don't even kids don't need a magazine because why would they?
That was one of the things that I think I was reading in the comments. People saying, even a magazine there was a Fortnite magazine that came out, and that didn't last. And that's
really,
and that's one of those things where you think, that should have been a big deal, but no one cares.
Yeah, if a Fortnite magazine can't survive,
no, it's because only PlayStation owners could read that one, James.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Because it wasn't Yeah, it's sad. I mean, but back in the day, I was obsessed with games magazines, and I mentioned it 8 years ago, but I got really excited about a new, a new issue, and kind of scouring newsagents a couple of days before in case it came out a couple of days early, and yeah, I loved it. And then obviously also you saw back then when I was massively reading them, like early to mid 90s, there'd be new ones popping up all the time as well. Which was cool. Like Control, I remember
when Games TM popped up.
Yeah, Games TM, yeah.
And when that started, I was like, I was an Edge reader, and then Games TM come out, and it was just at the point where I was reading Edge and just going, I'm not feeling this no more. And then Games TM turned up, and it was like, it wasn't like brash, like it wasn't like ridiculously brash, but it had an edge to it. Like, ironically, it had a I don't know, it had something to it, and I absolutely loved Games TM for a long time. Yeah,
I don't know.
Good times.
I still read Edge, and I read Retro Gamer as well from time to time because they're good magazines. I still think they're really good magazines, but yeah, you can wonder how long things will last, which is a shame because the circulation figures are massively down. Over the last
Retro Gamer now. Where are they with Retro now? What's the?
I think it's an ever shifting
Xbox One.
Yeah, at this point,
it is ever shifting. But what's considered retro now? What? How far are we going back? It's not 360, right?
They're doing. There's Dreamcast stuff in there quite frequently. They do that quite a lot. But then
what's the most recent recent game they would cover?
I don't know. Off the top of my head. They did there was a whole feature on the 90s last issue, which was great.
Oh yeah,
very good. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
That was 30 years ago.
Yeah. It wasn't Matt, it was 10 years ago. And,
I'd love it if their system was just that whenever a new game in a series comes out, the last one is now retro. Like, oh yeah, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is really good. Have you heard? It's now retro.
Yeah. Right,
what was those magazine shops where you could get basically foreign magazines?
WXS.
Oh, it had a name. There was a
magazine shops where you can get foreign magazines.
Basically, it's like a kind of stationers, and there's like a bookstore. But also, they sold American magazines. I'd even look for the American version of the Xbox magazine or EGM or something.
Water Stones, was it?
No, not Stones.
Waterstones used to do that, actually. They used to sell import magazines and stuff.
I used to love looking at that. This is mostly the same stuff I've read in the UK version, but more adverts. This is exciting.
Yeah, but it drops a few U's here and there.
There was...
Good, adds a couple of Zs.
Yeah, because I managed to grab a copy of... Was it EGM, Electronic Gaming Monthly? That was an American one, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Came across a copy of that once, and that was just amazing that obviously back then it was like, oh, it's a magazine from another country, and it's got all American game stuff in it, because the divide was that striking at the time. And then was it Super Play as well? That wasn't it. That was an American one. Yeah, we managed to get a couple of issues of that.
Super Play was UK.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
That must have been another one then. Shit, there was and I remember because it had anime characters on the front and stuff, which again at the time when I was 8 years old, and just be like, what the fuck is this? I've never seen anything like it.
That's is Will Overton. He used to do the designs for it. I think he went on to work for, who was it? I can't remember if he went to work for Rare or someone like that, but it was, that's what all those designs
Shout out Will Overton, yeah? Shout out, mate. Shout out to Will Overton. Right, okay. Let's move on.
Fall Guys has been delayed for Switch and Xbox. But
not much to say on this other than it sucks a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's been delayed, but
there's going to be cross-play as well, so that's good. That's
good. I wonder what's delaying them. It seems kind of weird that surely it would be Switch, obviously, there's a lot to do to get it to run well on that, I assume. But Xbox, you'd think it'd be pretty straightforward to port it to Xbox, wouldn't
you? Yeah. They just said that they need more time to incorporate everything they want to for the launch, and but it's going to come as soon as possible. Cool. But it won't be in the summer.
All right.
And final story. Do I do the Stadia thing? I'm not going to bother. Forget it.
No,
it's over.
What is the Stadia? Oh no, there's massive news. Why wouldn't you?
It wasn't massive news. It's just they've added a search function to the store.
Always improving that Stadia. Always improving. Yeah. Okay, what's your last news story, James?
So the last one is that Housemarque have said that they hear the community as Returnal players call for save and quit option. So Housemarque has suggested that there is going to be maybe better saving in the works for the game. They said we hear the community and we love you all. Nothing to announce now, but keep playing and enjoying the challenge as you can. So, because this is something that people have complained about.
They absolutely need to add this. There's literally no reason why this is not in the game, in my opinion. I think it's ridiculous that it's not in the game. And as you know, John texted me in the week, said that he was 90 minutes into a run, the game crashed, which meant that he lost that run completely, and that's what a waste of time. Yeah. It needs saving. There's no doubt about it. You know, just checkpoint in. If you turn it off, yeah, like even if you go into suspect, it's just. I know it sounds bad, right? And this is probably the wrong thing to say, but it just seems like arrogance not to have it in there. You know what I mean? Don't treat my time like that. Yeah. You know, it's. Look, we're going to go into our Returnal chat in a sec. But I just think it's such an essential thing to have in a game like this that it's ridiculous that it's not in there. And if the idea was to make it tougher, then it's the wrong idea. It's absolutely the wrong idea. It shows a little bit of
some people saying, no, this is just a roguelike. That's what they do. But then other people saying, well, no, you could save in the middle of runs in like Binding of Isaac and Hades.
Yeah, and it also depends on how long the run is as well. If your run is longer. I'd say if it's longer than like half an hour or whatever, you're thinking this needs to have a save function because it's just ridiculous.
Mate, honestly, the runs in this are really long. Yeah. So yeah, there's literally no reason now. I hope they add it as soon as possible. But should we get onto it? Should we get onto what you've been playing?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
So, is it just Matt and myself playing Returnal at the moment?
Yes.
James, come on. Then this is a bit where James says, actually, guys, I've also been playing it, and I put myself on
actually, I've bought a PS5, and I'm playing it now.
James, come on.
Yeah, I finished it. I've not.
Because I text James on Saturday saying, okay, game, come on, James. Just, okay, look, I know you've bought it. I just thought you would have seen everyone talking about it, all the pictures, just screenshots of discourse.
I did, but the trouble is there's so many things about it that I'm sure that I won't like, and I just thought I don't want to spend £70 to feel annoyed with myself.
We'll get onto the price stuff at the end, I think, because I've got something to say. I've got discussions to be had about the £70 price mark, but let's stick with the game for now. Matt, how long have you played it for? How far have you got in it?
I played it for 9.5 hours.
9.5 hours?
9.5 hours, yeah.
Wow, okay.
I died 9 times, and I'm on the second biome.
Right, okay. Well, you're doing better than I have.
Oh,
died 9 times.
Oh, I'm doing better. I'm doing better than you. Because you and I, just to let everyone know, David and I haven't really spoken about the game at all. You know, I haven't given you my thoughts. No. But from the way I thought your implication was the messages was like that you were way far ahead of me. I didn't actually see all your stream. I saw a bit of your stream on Friday, but I didn't see all of it. Or Saturday, sorry.
No, so I've put probably 3 to 4 hours in. And the way I've been, but sorry, if you don't know what Returnal is, I'm sure you do, but just to explain the sort of basic overview, is that it's a roguelike game. It's a roguelike action game where you play a character that crashes on a planet. They're driving their little spaceship about, having fun. They crash on a planet and they realise slowly but surely that they're in a time loop, and every time they die, they respawn. And in the process of trying to discover what's going on in this planet, they find artifacts, and they find, in the opening 10 seconds of the game, you come across a corpse and realise that it's you, and then you find audio logs that are left by you, and the whole sort of idea is that it's you don't know what's going on, and the game doesn't tell you what's going on, and there's a lot of discovery in terms of not only narrative but mechanics as well, and it's very difficult. I don't think that's a secret, but yeah. So I'm like 3 to 4 hours in. God knows how many loops I've done. I'm sure I've done more than 9. I've seen the boss once. The boss of the first biome once, because all right, let me.
I thought you were way ahead of me. Okay.
No, because I've really not had much time to play it. I didn't play it at all last night. I played it a little bit this morning, and played it on that stream. That stream was like my first big go of it, and that was about an hour and a half. And then I played it for about 30 minutes this morning. But yeah, I didn't get to play it last night, which is frustrating because I want to play more. Because it doesn't feel like I can. So. Yeah, well, that's it. And we had a mother-in-law over, my mother-in-law over, and I wish that I could sit down here today and tell you whether it's good or not, or whether you should go out and buy it or not, but I can't, because it feels like, although I've played 3 to 4 hours of it, I haven't scratched the surface. I've got no idea of what's ahead of me. And I really have. I went into this game not knowing much at all, really. I didn't watch any of the previews. I didn't read much of the reviews. I heard a few bits and pieces about it, but I didn't really understand any of the mechanics. And I think after the stream that I did, the stream was done after I'd played about 20 minutes, did a couple of runs just to see get some idea of the controls and everything. Then I did the stream, and by the end of the stream, I was like, okay, I've spent this whole time with my mouth open, wondering what the fuck is going on. Not really understanding it, facing the boss and thinking, I'm really going to look forward to fighting that thing, really going to look forward to it. And then I sort of come to a crossroads at the end of that stream and said, right, I can either go onto YouTube and search for tips, what you should be doing, how you should be playing or whatever, or I can just try and explore it myself. So didn't play it yesterday, played it today for about 30 minutes to an hour, and just went off and did my thing. Just went into different rooms, tried different things out, picked up things, was reading stuff, and was slowly piecing together not only the structure of the game, but what the mechanics. There's still tons that I don't know, because I think because I'm finding it so satisfying trying to work it out myself rather than going on and reading guides and stuff like that, which I don't think is the wrong way of doing it, don't get me wrong. I've just enjoyed trying to experience it, trying to find all this stuff out myself. If you've gone onto YouTube and you read guides and stuff, I mean, I don't blame you, because it does feel like I'm banging my head against the wall a couple of points, just going, what is this room about? What is this item? What am I supposed to be doing? But I think what's grabbed me the most in the first few hours that I've put into this game is just how intriguing it is, like how it's grabbed me and gone, and it's given me that Dark Souls feel. I think Dark Souls is a very good comparison in a lot of ways with this game, specifically in the fear that you talk about when you play Dark Souls, and the fear is not about being scared of things in the level or general horror. I saw a lot of talk about this being a horror game. It really doesn't feel like a horror game at all to me.
It does, feels more like some aspects. It's quite oppressive. And have you been? Have you seen The House?
Yes, yeah. But I've not been in the house yet.
Oh, okay.
I've just seen it a couple of times. But for me, so maybe there's some horror in the house or whatever. But for me, it feels like real thriller levels of fear. You know what I mean? So like I always talk about this when I talk about film. There are horror films and there are thriller films. Like say Seven is definitely a thriller, whereas I can't think of a good horror film,
Hostel.
but Hostel or whatever is a horror film or whatever. And I think there are the different levels of fear and how they deal with it. And from what I've played on this and why I compare it to Dark Souls is that the fear comes from not knowing and thinking I'm doing this wrong and that thing's horrible when it's running at me. Whereas it's not like jump scares and all that sort of stuff, which you would usually get in a traditional horror game. So it's the intrigue for me. It's the sitting there, mouth wide open, going, what the fuck is going on? What am I supposed to do here? Walking into a room, seeing all this weird shit, trying to get your head around it. And that's why I feel that I can't give like a proper opinion on if I think this game is good or not. Because it feels like I've spent most of my time trying to work out what the game is. And now I feel that I'm at a point where I understand what each door represents. So, sorry, Sean. Think of it very much like a traditional roguelike, where it's all split up into various different rooms. There are different doors leading out of the room that leads to different things, but they're very clearly color coded, or they've got a different shape to them, so they represent different things. So there's like a golden door with a star above it, and that means that obviously I didn't know that going into it, but once I'd done it a couple of times, I realised that that's sort of a horde mode. It's like a mini raid where you're getting battered by waves of enemies, and if you survive all the way through.
Rooms. Yeah, if you go in there,
Okay.
If you survive all the way through, you get some good loot at the end of it. There are side quest rooms which are blue. Sometimes they lead to little challenges. Sometimes they lead to really hard enemies. You can never really work out what they are. There are rooms with the little circles above them, which is, I'm assuming, portals to other biomes. But obviously, I haven't got the keys to open them up yet. So that'll be your shortcuts to later on in the game. So you don't have to fight the same bosses in every run or whatever. And I'm starting to understand the difference between integrity, efficiency, and what's the other one? Integrity is
health.
Efficiency is your weapon
efficiency, which is how much you use a weapon, I think.
Is that proficiency or
proficiency,
efficiency?
Yeah.
All right, proficiency. And then what's the other one where is it focus? It's not focus, is it?
What's
overload?
The one where you... Is that it?
No, it's not overload. It's where so there are different boosts as you're going around, right, Sean and James? Sorry. So one of which is your health, obviously, and you can top that up using health packs and stuff. One is based on keeping a combo going. So every time you kill an enemy, it adds to the one that we can't think of. I'm sure it's focus.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, someone else told me. Yeah, sorry, that is focus. Yeah,
something like that. But yeah, you sort of keep that chained up, and every time you level that up, your weapon becomes way more powerful. You know, it will throw missiles while you're shooting and stuff like that. You know, it builds it up and it causes more damage or whatever. But if you get hit once, that returns to 0 again. And it is absolutely devastating once that happens because you feel so less powerful.
So the other one is adrenaline that we can't remember.
Adrenaline. That's right. Yeah. So if you get hit once, that returns to 0, and it's very, very in keeping with Housemarque games of past. You know, with the twin stick shooter stuff. Like you build up and up, but if you get hit, you lose all of that sort of. So it puts extra tension on trying to avoid projectiles and getting hit and stuff. And the other one is the weapon stuff, which is
that's weapon for proficiency.
So the more you build up by killing enemies and collecting power ups, the higher level the next weapon you pick up will be. Essentially, I'm sure there's more to it later down the line, but that's where I'm at the moment. I'm trying to build that up so I get a decent weapon. Yeah. So you know when you pick up a weapon, they sometimes have like a star 2, star 3 next to them. That's all down to your proficiency.
Oh, is it? Okay, cool. Yeah, because the more you're using weapons, you'll get proficiency upgrades, and it also say that actually this proficiency affects all weapons. Okay, so that will essentially affect the next weapon you pick up, the next future weapons you pick up. Okay.
I think so. I'm not quite. What I haven't worked out is whether that affects the weapon you've got in your hand or not yet. But I don't think it does because I've leveled that up before, and then when I've gone to swap it, it's still been the same basic shit gun that I swapped out. I'm kind of blown away with it so far. And this isn't. Don't take that as I should be buying this, because we'll get to that later. But my experience so far is that I'm kind of blown away with it. But I think it looks great. It doesn't look as spectacular as some people are saying, I don't think. But
I think it looks stunning.
I would say the audio is more impressive.
Oh yeah,
than
the audio
stuff.
is phenomenal. Absolutely.
It's absolutely incredible to listen to this game.
See, the thing that I'm most interested though is about the controller, because I want to know if the DualSense, if it really does anything with that to make it interesting or not.
Right, it does one interesting thing in my book, and some people won't like it. So, well, again, it feels like it could do stuff, more interesting stuff later down the line, which is hard. That's why I'm finding it hard to commit to opinions, right? Because it does feel like it could just change anything at any moment. Like it genuinely does. This game feels like it could do anything in the future, and it wouldn't surprise me. But in terms of the DualSense stuff, the most prominent thing that it does with it is the initial fire. No, your sort of basic fire and your secondary fire. And the way that works is that the right trigger works as you normally would with a shooter. You hold down the trigger, you shoot the gun. The left trigger, it has a halfway setting. So if you're doing your normal shooting, you hold the trigger down halfway. But if you want to use your secondary fire, you pull it all the way down. And of course, it makes it harder to go past the sort of it's tight at the halfway point on that left trigger. And when I first started playing this game, it totally fucked me up. Like there was no way I was getting used to it. But then the more that I've played it, the more used to it I've got, and now it just feels completely natural, which is mad, really.
Yeah, I switched to like to L1.
Oh, really?
It's just easier in firefights. I switched a bunch of things. I switched like dash from the O button to R1, and then I switched alt fire, so it wasn't half of a press of the trigger. It was L1 or whatever it was, and it's way easier in combat, I think.
So then you put your items on circle. Then is that what you've done?
I put my the thing you select on the D-pad. Actually, I press up for my consumables.
Right, okay.
But what I do, another thing I love about this game is that there's loads of settings. You can change so much. You can change the size of the reticles. You can change like the color of the subtitles. You can change like if you run constantly or not. Because I've turned dashing on, so I don't have to click in the left stick to run. So I'm permanently running. I've got like massive reticles. I've like moved all my controller buttons around. I love how much customization there is for that.
Is there any? Okay, so you're saying you've got this whole thing with the pulling the trigger. Is there any sort of haptic feedback as well? Like, how does that feel? Or not
there's
really?
Supposed
is it
to
not
be.
noticeable?
Yeah,
I mean,
loads.
I don't find there's loads. What do you find, Matt?
I mean, what? All the rain stuff's pretty cool.
Oh, wait a minute!
It's not
I've just had a thought. Hang on, Dave. Didn't you turn all that light down in the settings on the PS5?
No, I didn't. Not certainly not the haptic stuff.
Because I thought you did when you played Astrobot.
No, I turned the adaptive triggers down when I played Astrobot, but then I turned it back up again because I was showing it off to people, and then I left it like that. So no, I didn't turn that down. But the haptic stuff, so the rain, what you're talking about, that they show that off at the start of the game, and it feels great. It feels like even better than the rain in Astrobot. But then I was in a level earlier, and it was pouring down, and the controller was doing nothing. It wasn't reacting to it at all.
Oh,
so
right.
I was kind of like, that's weird. But that's it. That's the only thing that I've noticed, Matt, unless I'm missing something.
I just felt like the controller's doing, moving a lot. I mean, in terms of proper haptics, where it's kind of replicating a sensation. Yeah, the rain's probably a big one, but I think just the controller vibrating in tune with the game. I think it's working really well, even if it's not trying to replicate a feeling. Like the rain, I've been playing mostly with headphones, but on a time I wasn't playing with headphones, like the sound of the rain comes out of the controller, and it feels like raindrops on the controller, and it's so atmospheric because most of the levels, most of the early part of the game, it is pissing down. So it's so atmospheric. I think it really adds to it.
See, I would say that the headphones are more essential than the haptic feedbacks, definitely, because I've never played a game. This is what's so stunning about it, and it's probably the 3D audio stuff they've put on. They've actually activated it in the right way for this game. But literally, you're in a kill room, and you can hear a noise and know exactly where that enemy is. Like it doesn't feel like the normal stereo. Oh, he's somewhere on the left. There's a bit you'll hear like a groan, and you're like, right behind me. Slightly behind me, like say...
Games have been doing that for a long time, though. Like, we've been able to do that sort of audio processing.
Not this well. Honestly, literally, Sean, not only do you know where they are behind you, you know how high they are as well. It's bizarre. It's really, really odd. It's really odd.
Yeah, I've experienced. That's basically what Dolby Atmos does and what 3D audio does. So that in itself isn't new, but I think it's just... The audio in this game is phenomenal.
It's. But Matt, I've played tons of shooters.
Interesting question.
Oh, fucking Siri. Sorry.
Thank you, Siri. I've played tons of shooters where you kind of get a gist of where something is. With this, I know exactly where an enemy is at all times, just from listening, not looking at my radar, just from listening to what's going on. It's mind blowing. Like, it's really surprised me. But also, how weird all the audio is. So there's sort of music, but it's really sort of just rough synths and groans and creaking.
I
and
think the
all
soundtrack's
sorts.
phenomenal as well. It's
It just comes together in such a incredibly intense and atmospheric way that you really do feel just completely locked in. Like, it's that. I think the audio, there's a lot of positives that I can say about what I've played of this game so far, but the audio is what's impressed me the most. It's been just stunning to listen to.
Yeah,
You
soundtrack
were saying
wise,
that,
it's definitely got kind of shades of Interstellar. Definitely got shades of Devs. If anyone watched the drama on, I think it's like it's on iPlayer. I think it was. Devs.
It was great. I love that series.
Yeah, Devs was a stunning program, and it just definitely has like a couple of the same like musical themes where you hear like a couple of bars, and it feels like it's the same kind of sound from Devs. Yeah, soundtrack is fantastic. But audio is just incredibly impressive. Like, especially at the earlier stages of the game, you're in a rainforest type areas, lots of like shrubbery, lots of green stuff, lots of it's raining, and you can hear every single sound of the location you're in. You can hear like doors unlocking, like they sound like crunchy and thick and like really like, solid like sounds coming in. You can hear like monsters in the distance, and as David says, you can hear the height and the direction. Yeah, I'm obviously glad I've got like a good headset and stuff, but I think it just sounds utterly amazing. And then combine that with the gameplay, with the haptics as well, and for me, I think it looks like a stunning game. I mean, I've heard some people say, "Oh, it doesn't look that good," but I think it's like the combination of just like the lighting, and it's quite.
I think it's more art
colours.
Direction than it is.
Yeah, art direction.
Like,
it's also kind of there's a lot of kind of Alien and like Prometheus kind of inspiration there. So that combined with like the soundtracks I love, and there's a lot of mystery as well in like the environments you see and the things you see in the environment.
That's the main thing. That's the main thing for me that keeps my intrigue. Like the mystery over everything. You're like, what's that? What's that? What's that? And then you're slowly drip fed what everything is,
Drip fed.
Either by drip fed. Sorry, what everything is. So like, you're seeing these red vines, and you're like, well, there's items behind them. I must be able to get to them, and then eventually you get an item and you can get to them. So it's got that Metroidvania style thing, and there's loads of things that I'm seeing in the world that I'm like, I don't know what that is. That could be an enemy, but I'm not sure. And then you just but after you get that first unlock, you're like, okay, well, that's going to be something that I can use later on. So it's got that Metroidvania style thing, but it's also got like weird enemies, like those big gold octopuses that octopus, is that also a plural?
Octopi.
Octopuses.
No, it's not octopi, is it?
I think technically it is, but obviously
That's
you'd get
4 pies.
beaten up for saying it.
8 pies. Fuck.
That's
a quadrupie. But no, like the golden things. Like initially you're like, what the fuck? They're enemies, and then you notice they're not attacking you, and you're like, okay, and then you start working out what they're actually for. All through just experimenting and stuff, and I think that's what I've done.
What is golden things that aren't enemies? Because I'll just shoot everything.
Right, okay, so what, you shoot the little robots?
I shoot everything.
Right, the robots don't attack you, right?
What robots?
The robots in in the areas where you get to the shop.
Yes,
like a classic roguelike thing. There's a couple of robots just walking around in that area.
I've never noticed that.
Matt, have you played this game?
Yeah, I have. So you go to the shop, you got all like the pillars, and you can like generate whatever you want and throw in your bits you collect. What, there's robots milling about, is there?
Yeah, there's a couple of robots walking about there. I've had
never
that
seen that
pretty much every
ever.
time I've
Probably
been there.
wasted the map. Like, he just
No,
walked in and
because
just
that's
destroyed
an area
them.
where there's no shooting because it's like a shop.
They show up as enemies on the map. That was what was confusing me. I was like, "What's enemies doing in here?" And I went over to them. You can see them on my stream if you want.
I've
They
never
appeared
seen
there
that.
the first time.
Okay.
Yep.
That's weird.
It's just a way to get items to spend more on the shop, basically.
I've never seen anyone in that area. That's insane.
You've not seen the golden enemies. Sometimes they turn up at the crash site, the golden things.
I've never seen anything in the crash site. No.
Wow. Okay.
I'm waiting for the crash site to kind of evolve. I assume the more I kind of died and did stuff,
100% there's something going on.
Area.
Yeah. Have you read the log on the crash ship?
No.
Yeah. It says there's something that needs to be removed from the cargo bay.
Oh, from the cargo bay.
Yeah, but
I've
you
read
can't
that.
get into the cargo bay yet.
No,
so,
I'm wondering when it unlocks. Yeah.
Yeah. It's full of stuff like that. So if you love like games like that, then that'll intrigue you. Have you got anything else to say about the game at this point, Matt? Because it still feels like we're well early on in it.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love the game. When I first was announced at like whatever state of play, I was like, okay, this looks fantastic, really, really good. And then in the weeks going up to launch, I'm like, well, I'm probably just going to buy it because there's nothing really out, and I can't keep complaining there's nothing out when the game does come out. So I mostly bought it for that, really. I saw the reviews. The reviews are good. I'm not really like a kind of a bullet hell shooter fan. I played a little bit of what were Housemarque's previous games?
Next Machina,
PS4.
Next Machina
Stardust
was amazing. Resogun.
Yep.
Yeah, I played a bit of Resogun. Super Stardust. Yeah, I played a little tiny bit on PS3, but I wasn't super jazzed. But I bought it because I was like, okay, well, I want something new. But this has so many things I absolutely love. It's got the mystery. There's definitely for me like. It kind of feels a bit like Control in that regard. There's a big mystery that's kind of bringing everything together. What's happening? What's it all about? Celine, the main character, is trying to piece together the past and history and why she is where she is. And then you'll be in an environment and you'll see, as I mentioned earlier, like a house. There's like a standard like 20th century house in this alien environment, and you go in there and trying to work it, find out more things about the mystery, why, what it is about her past, and so on and so forth. There's loads of great mysterious stuff there. I mean, I found the house stuff a little bit scary because it's kind of got PT vibes. And I was like, oh god, don't become too scary.
Does it go down that route though?
No, it's more just kind of like,
you say it's got PT vibes. Does it then start doing jump scares and shit?
No jump scares, but there's kind of like there's like bangs upstairs or downstairs, and you're forced to go upstairs. I'm like, oh fucking hell, no, don't do this. But no, it's nothing scary. It's just like atmosphere building, really. Right. But I've been in the house twice now, and I'm like, I'm waiting to go in a corner, and there's like, but nothing yet. Maybe it isn't going to do it. Maybe it's just atmosphere, and it's trying to make you feel like something's going to pop out, but actually nothing is. But I'm definitely a little bit like Dave, and like the mystery of all the environments, trying to work out the rooms and stuff is definitely there. But I have also looked at guides, about like what. But a beginner's guide, what do you do in Returnal? But even then, there's still lots of things I'm still trying to work out. Like, it only took me a few goes to realise that, you go in that room and then you've got to kill everyone before you can even leave. So now when I see like a golden door, I'm like, well, I've got 5.0 adrenaline, which is the maximum adrenaline you get. So you have all like the various associated bonuses with that. I don't even know what the various like 5 or 6 bonuses you get are, but basically, that it's better for you to be at maximum adrenaline.
It's weapon dependent, yeah.
Okay, cool, yeah. So I'm like, okay, I can see a challenge room, and maybe my health's low, and I know if I went in and killed everyone, there probably loads of vials or whatever it is to improve my health. But if I go in there, I may also die. I may also get I'll probably get shot, probably lose my adrenaline. So there's a lot of like risk reward about the game. And I'll come back to risk reward in a minute. So I went to the first boss like a bunch of times, four or so times, kept dying. Actually, I think I said to you, Dave, earlier in the weekend, I thought I've already seen the boss, and then it turns out I hadn't seen the boss. That was just a big enemy in the room, but I wasn't the boss.
Right.
But then when like the last 2 or 3 runs, I'm like, okay, well, I can go to the boss now, but my adrenaline's only like well, it might be 0. Maybe I just got shot in the last room, or maybe my health isn't 100%. I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to have to go into a challenge room to try and get my adrenaline up, because that's going to help me massively when it comes to the boss. So I really like that, the fact that, okay, I'm having to go backwards in a way and find other rooms to risk it, but ultimately, because I know that'd be better for me in terms of taking on the boss, because I have better adrenaline and hopefully more health. But I think risk reward generally in this game, I think it's mostly just risk and no reward. I don't know about you, Dave, but so there were loads of like treasure chests around the place, lots of which you open them and there's no negative. You might get a new weapon, you might get a bonus, you might get whatever. It's very clear these ones, there's going to be no downside to opening these. And there's others which are malignant, and those have this like a purple kind of haze around them. You can open them, and the malignant things in the environment are things that give you a bonus but also give you a negative. There's loads of parasites around the world which you can get on you, which give you like, oh, this parasite gives you like either you can do more damage to enemies, but every time you open a chest you get damage, or this one gets you 10% damage bonus, but every time you land after fall you take damage. So there's loads of them, and most of them, I mean, the parasites, most of them, I think that there's a good mix actually between good and bad. But the malignant chests, so you can go up to them and it says there's a high probability of you getting a malfunction. I think malfunction is the terminology they use.
Malfunction to your suit. Yeah.
A malfunction again will be like, okay, well, malfunction now means that you take double damage until you open 5 chests, or until you kill 20 enemies, or until you do a certain thing. So for these malignant chests, you'll see that it'll tell you the probability. You can cleanse these chests using another currency called ether. So if you've got loads of ether, you can just cleanse it, and you open it with no fear about getting sort of a negative. But every time I see those chests, I just don't bother. I don't bother cleansing them. I don't bother opening them, because it feels like it's never worth the risk to potentially fuck yourself.
To me, it feels like that's for later down the line, that stuff.
Do you think so?
Yeah, 100%.
But
like, it reminds me of the chaos. It reminds me of the chaos rooms in Hades.
Mm.
You know, where you go in and eventually you'll be able to remove the negatives towards those items, or you get to a point where the negatives that are offered don't concern you, but because of the way you play the game. And the benefits far outweigh the negatives. I think that's for later stuff.
It says like probability of this is low. I'm like, okay, cool. But I don't know. Like most of the others, I'll see them now, and I don't bother cleansing them because I want to save my ether, because there's other uses for that, and I just think it's not really worth the risk at all, really.
I mean, talking about the risk and stuff, because what I've mostly heard about this game is that it's also really difficult. Is it?
I wouldn't say it's really difficult.
Not really.
It's tough, but it's.
I mean, is it like Dark Souls difficult?
Not from what I've played so far, but obviously I'm very early on. But it feels like
it's
quite
a very different type of game as well.
Yeah, it feels quite fair. The comparisons with Dark Souls is definitely there, I think, Matt. You know, it is a different type of game. There's a lot more progression involved with Dark Souls. Like, you're covering ground, but I do think there's elements to that where, just in terms of the feel and how you play.
Yeah, it's a run-based game, but then you lose everything on this. It's not. There isn't really progression.
That does, and
you don't lose everything.
This isn't me criticising it. This is just my personal preference. Like, I tend to not get on with proper roguelikes where there's me using the term properly because I've learned proper roguelikes where you lose everything each run, or not everything, but I tend to really struggle with those. So I think even when I do get around to getting a PS5, this might not be for me, but that's just a type of game, and lots of people really like it. Before we get onto whether it's for you or not, Sean, and we will get there.
I will say the only other negative thing that I've got to say from what I've played so far is that I hate falling off the map in this, like, more than any game I've ever played. I don't understand why this game has gaps that you can fall off of.
Yeah.
It makes zero
the first
sense
time
to
I was
me.
like,
What's
cool,
the
what's
benefit?
down there? Oh no, I just died.
Yeah, there have been times where it looks like there's a ledge below and you fall down and it's like there's half your health gone.
Oh shit.
Yeah. There's literally no one can convince me that it's beneficial at all. You know, if there's an argument, well, you know, you've got to be careful. And cause there are rooms that you go into and you're bombarded with enemies the moment you walk into them. You've not got any time to assess the environment before you get into the firefight. So you dash to one side and then you drop down into the pit and you lose half your health and all of your adrenaline. And it's like, what's the benefit here?
Yeah, I've had that
how's
a few times.
that? It's just annoying. It's like a minor gripe, right? It is a minor gripe, but it's definitely a gripe. Like, I just think if you remove that element from the game completely, all it does is improve it. There's no
but it definitely adds to the atmosphere of like there being like a weird rocky landscape. You're an alien.
No, fine. The areas, the areas where there's lava at the bottom that slowly hurts you. If you walk on it, fine. Haven't got a problem with those. It's the ones where you fall off the map and it just takes half your health. This doesn't add to any atmosphere at all. That it's ridiculous. I hate it.
I like the fact there's like huge floating structures, and it's annoying when I fell off, but it doesn't happen that often for me, and it's just. But I can see your point, but it doesn't bother me.
I'd remove the floating structures if it means that I'm not ending a run or losing all of my momentum because of a misstep. Like it just I hate it. And you know, if you're comparing it to Dark Souls again, you've got moments like that in Dark Souls, but you're so slow moving that it kind of feels that every time you do that, it's avoidable. Whereas here, because it's quite fast paced, it feels like, and there's a lot more of it. There's a lot more opportunity to fall off the fucking map. That it just becomes a frustration.
Because with Dark Souls, like you say, you're very slowly and methodically studying and learning like every inch of like most of the environments. Whereas, if you dash and shoot and the
game encourages you to plant your feet, whereas the game encourages you in this to move about.
Yeah,
you know. They're kind of different, but yeah. Anything else to say more about the game before we get onto the price?
I absolutely love the mixture of the third-person shooter and the bullet hell shooter. I think it looks stunning as well when you see like an enemy it's shown throwing like a vertical strip of projectiles at you, or a vertical strip, and you're like trying to jump out of the way, or there's like in like other sections I've been in, there's like a massive like grid of like 30 projectiles in a massive square there throwing at you, and it feels absolutely brilliant to like jumping out of the way and then firing at an enemy and then jumping out,
because it's got that thing from Housemarque games where you're invincible when you're dashing, right? So you can just dash through them.
Yeah, which is it also feels fantastic. Obviously you instinctively kind of want to jump back, but you kind of do have to like you have to jump forward into or through projectiles. But it looks absolutely stunning, and I think it works so well to have these bullet hell style projectiles at you, but you're running around in 3D space and trying to make sure you land on the environment properly so you don't fall down huge gaps, and juggle the gun you have. And there's also got it's got an active like reload mechanic. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, it's got the Gears of War thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So basically, you'll fire your whole clip, and then when you're out of ammo, a bar will fill up, and you got like press fire at a certain point to active reload. Otherwise, it'll take a while to reload. That's brilliant as well for doing that in the middle of a fight. So you're both trying to jump up and avoid projectiles and fire at enemies and sort of active reloads. And some of the fights are really, really hectic when a bunch of enemies, come at you at once. I think it works so well, combining all that stuff. And
all I can say is that I'm sitting there. I've loved every minute that I've played of it, and I can't wait to play more. So I hope it manages to keep that up.
Yeah, I played for ages to try and kill the first boss. It felt like ages, and then just for the Line of Duty finale, I killed that. I killed that first boss. So I'm on the second biome now. I only did it because I had some other like bonuses I got from the shop and stuff. But Yeah, no, yeah, and that was really tense, you know, in a kind of like a Dark Soulsy way, you know, like really desperately need to kill this boss, and you're kind of hanging on for dear life. I mean, I've seen those people on Twitter saying, "Oh, I killed loads of these bosses first time, whatever, you know, whatever, fine." I struggled, but yeah, I'm absolutely loving it so far. I wasn't sure if I'd love it, but the package of the gameplay, how it looks, the audio, and the mystery of the story and where it's going is keeping me hooked, and I can't wait to play more.
How's the pacing of the story stuff? Sorry, like, is it, because I've heard people saying like don't go in expecting Hades, basically.
No, definitely not Hades. Yeah. No, but the pacing's there. I mean, I've not been frustrated with the reveals.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I've barely seen anything.
It's not like every time we die there'll be something else. Mm-hmm. That isn't always the case. But what again? This game, I think this game has captured me enough that when I see an audio log, I absolutely have to get it. Absolutely have to listen to it because the audio logs, which will typically
they're a bit shit though, aren't they?
No, but they're kind of abstract. But everyone, like, oh, brilliant!
The last one I heard was like,
well, "What am I going to learn?"
I fought something that looked like myself. Is it just another loop, or is it that? And I was kind of like, oh god, this is really sort of like everything's wrapped in mystery except for those audio logs. Do you know what I mean? That's the contrast of those audio logs.
They're definitely like Captain's log.
Jarring.
I've seen a body on the ground. It's me. But having said that,
the first time you crash and find a corpse, right? The first time you crash and find a corpse is within the first 10 seconds of the game. You find the corpse and you turn it over and it's got your name on the helmet, and she goes, "Oh my god, it's," and then you just move on. And it's like, wouldn't you take the helmet off or just double check that it's you? That's a bit weird that you just walked off like that. It's a bit bizarre with that shit. I'm not warming to the main character, I must admit, but don't feel that I need to.
But you learn more when you go in a house and stuff.
So
I'm on the second. I don't know how many biomes there are. I don't know how many bosses there are, but I'm on the second area now. It's quite different to the first one. Haven't got to the boss, but I'm excited to play and learn more.
So how much does the main character speak? Like when you're playing, does she retain?
Not too much.
Because I was wondering, how much of this loops does she retain and talk about, at all, or not really much?
You're progressively becoming aware of what's going on.
Mm-hmm. But she doesn't explain that.
But no, she's not. She's not Nathan Drake.
Right. Okay. There's no quips going on.
There's no quips.
Yeah. No, it's just you see an audio log. And or they'll be like, this is a story bit, like I mentioned, House. But apart from that, no, she's pretty silent. I mean, it is like it's dynamically generated levels, but there were clear okay, this is this type of room basically, and so a power will be in this part of the room because this is the same as that other style of room. So although it's dynamically generated, you instantly recognize. I think you instantly recognize. Okay, it's this kind of room. The exits will be there. Enemies will come from there. But yeah, it's good.
Okay, right. So let's talk about the price and whether you should buy it. Right, because just a full disclosure and everything, we got sent a code for this. I used that code. Matt paid £70 for it.
No, I didn't. I paid £58. I got a 10% back from Game
But it's something that's been racking my brain, really. And so what I'm saying is that take my opinions with a pinch of salt, because I didn't have the sting of paying £70 for it. But I'm kind of torn on this £70 price point and whether this game is worth it or not. Because there's part of me that's saying no game is worth £70. That is a big price to pay for a base game. But there's also part of me that's saying, why is this game the one that's singled out for, is it worth this amount of money? Why is the focus on this game? And because
of Housemarque's previous games, is probably why. But go on.
Which have all been incredible.
Yeah, they have, but they've also been released at cheaper prices as well. This is the first one that's been released at full price.
Okay, but then when you look at, you just got to look at those games to see that this is a far
It's a big step
bigger
up
budget project.
Absolutely, totally agree with you.
This is far more AAA than Resogun.
I don't mean it in that way, as in they've made inferior games or anything like that, but as in they've had a history of releasing games at like cheaper prices, so people have got used to that idea, I think, is what I mean by that.
But what I'm saying is that you just got to look at the two games and see the difference between Resogun and this. And this is what I'm saying. So is it worth £70? I would say if you love... Right, like, what roguelike... This style of game has been bought out with this... Clearly this budget piled into it. Like, what can you compare Returnal to on that level? Because I've seen a lot of people saying, yeah, but, you know, Hades was 20 quid and that's one of the best roguelikes of all time. And yeah, you're right. But again, like, Hades is it was made by an indie developer, and there's only so much in terms of AAA that you can get. And I'm not saying AAA is better. I'm saying AAA is more expensive. So if you're banging to these games and you really want to play a good roguelike that has the audio design, the graphics, the scope of the project that this game has got, like, is it worth £70 to you? Maybe. I that's all that I can come up with that. But then there's also part of me going, that's a fucking lot of money to pay for a game.
Well, I suppose...
So if you're in a situation where roguelikes are not your top priority when you're gaming, then no, £70 is a lot of money to pay for it. But if it is, then possibly. And also...
It's all relative.
Yeah, it is all relative, and we're ignoring that side of it. You know, there's millionaires. Yeah, 70 quid for a game's not bad. But then, you know, so we can't judge that
it's
side
not
of
even
it.
about, I don't even think it's about, okay, if you earn loads of money, I think it's relative in terms of the value it's giving you. I mean, yeah, I paid £58. You know, if I paid 70, it's like, okay.
But you did, yeah, but the point is,
it feels like a real next gen showpiece, and I'm happy to have spent money.
But the point is that you can't assess that, how much you're going to get out of it, until you've bought and played it. So when you're recommending it and saying is it worth it, you're telling people that want to know whether they will be getting this amount out of it, and not necessarily is the answer to that, because it's a very specific type of game, right? So then you start to think, what would you prefer Sony do? Like, would you prefer them to release these £70 games and they are the normal Sony open world action games? Or would you rather them focus on very specific genres and make them big budget AAA titles like this? It's a really confusing one, and I'm not settling on each end of the argument. I haven't got an opinion on it properly yet. But I do kind of think, actually, if you're going to release these first party games like this, I kind of think it's more interesting to release specific genre focused games that haven't been brought into this AAA space than have another, Days Gone.
Yeah. It's sort of, on the one hand, sort of playing devil's advocate, but part of me thinks, well, why didn't Housemarque choose to make this, sort of the same sort of perspective and, production values as Nex Machina or something? Yeah. Like, could they have translated the ideas that are in Returnal and still done it, but in a cheaper way, and charged, 30 quid less for it or whatever? But equally, as you say, why shouldn't someone have a go at doing a big budget?
Exactly.
Big budget roguelike,
This is a big opportunity
it's
to
an
make
interesting
a big
thing
splash.
to exist, and I think it's cool.
You say that, the reason why they haven't done it in the perspective that they did it before is that Nex Machina was a massive failure for them.
Well, yeah, there is that.
And they come out with that statement afterwards saying, look, we ain't going to make these fucking games anymore because no one buys them.
Yeah.
I guarantee this has sold well.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, which has been great to see, because as you say, it's, I mean, all right, post Hades, you can't really say roguelikes stroke lights are niche anymore, but this sounds like a more niche and a sort of, a less welcoming take on the genre than
God, it
we've
really
seen
is,
before.
yeah.
So there's definitely going to be people who've just picked this up because it's the new exclusive, it's a shooter, like it looks familiar to them, and then we'll play 10 minutes of it and be like, what the fuck is this? But that's fine. I don't think it's not like the game's misrepresented itself. I think there are people who will sort of fall into it not really knowing what it is. But equally, it sounds like this. I mean, I don't know what the figures are, but just by the number of people talking about it, I'm excited. If Housemarque have finally had a big hit, that's really cool.
A lot of that is riding on the you've got a new console and you've got nothing to play on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's definitely that.
I was saying this to James on the stream on Friday, like the whole £70 thing. Like Sony know people that have managed to get PS5 want games for their PS5. And I was like, well, I'm going to buy this because I want a new game. So the £70 thing, everyone will be paying £70 because they're like, well, I want a new game. And like the next big game will be Ratchet and Clank. That'd be £70, but people want a new game.
Yeah, but then that's what's mad.
So when you think about it, who might not agree with like the £70 price point, but they're also like, well, I want a new game from a console. I guess I'm going to have to buy the game.
Yeah.
So, and
the competition is not helping.
The numbers are massive. People love buying the £70 games. They can't get enough of it. Well,
the competition's not helping though, Matt, because you go out and buy Returnal and then buy Ratchet and Clank. That's a year of Game Pass Ultimate.
Yeah, but the thing is, can you compare them though?
PS5?
Exactly.
Like, they've got people, haven't they?
Yeah, but you can't write off the comparisons in terms of how much things cost.
I can't write them off, but I'm just saying, as a PlayStation 5 owner, you want games to play, this game's out, you'll be paying £70 and like Ratchet and Clank.
Okay, that's fine, but if Microsoft were releasing games also for £70, this argument's a different argument, but they're not.
But Microsoft so far haven't released any games of this sort of level.
You're right.
Like, do you know what I mean? For Game Pass. Like the only game that's come out this year was The Medium, and that was a 6 out of 10 game.
They will do. They will do. That's the point. Microsoft are working on making gaming cheaper, and Sony are whacking a £70 price point on all their games. And it's like,
but the thing is,
go on.
Like, if Microsoft released, a game like this, like a AAA, a decent, but a great game for £70, I would buy it, even if I got Game Pass, because I want something new.
Yeah, but they're not doing that. Then you haven't got the option, and that's the point.
You see,
but Microsoft would love to have sold us £70 games, just like it didn't have any games ready.
They
would love nothing the install base either. I mean, Sony can do this as well because they've got the bigger install base. So even if like only a fraction of people buy games, if only a fraction of people buy like a game like Returnal, they can still probably make a really decent return on that. Whereas they know for certain that loads of people are going to buy Ratchet and Clank. Like that's going to be like a big sort of massive hit. For them. Yeah. Almost certainly. It's...
Well, I think
that's fine, but no, you're missing my point. My point is the £70 price tag is inflamed further by the competition not raising to that level.
I agree with you on that, but then okay, once Game Pass has got games of similar scope and quality, then I think you could make that argument. But at the moment, I don't see that. Like I don't see anything that Microsoft have released on Game Pass which is at the same sort of level.
Well, that's the point, surely, is that there's not a sufficient challenge there in terms of big budget exclusives for the Xbox. So why should Sony drop the price at this point?
Yeah,
like obviously, I would argue
to see what
that
they do once they start releasing those first party games.
Yeah, and obviously,
assuming that they're decent.
Yeah. And like, don't get me wrong, a Series S with Game Pass is the fucking greatest bargain on earth. Like the idea to me of spending £70 on a single game seems pretty wild at the moment. But if Microsoft were charging, like, say the Halo came out tomorrow, say it was never scheduled for Game Pass, and it was, and they were sticking to that 45-50 quid range, that would make Sony look more silly.
Definitely.
Yeah, but I'm kind of thinking, right, okay, so you look at, say, Sea of Thieves and Forza Horizon, just as an example, right? We know those games are already on Game Pass. You buy an Xbox, you get those games for, that monthly charge or whatever. The next Forza game is going to be straight on that thing anyway. Yeah. Now, if Forza was coming out on, like, if it was a Sony first party thing, that would be £70.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So what I'm saying is that, like, this £70 price point, okay, it kind of makes sense now, although I think you would have bought it if it was 40 or 50. You know what I mean, James? I think you would have bought a Returnal if it was 50 quid.
Maybe I would.
And my point, my other point here is that, and what you were talking about earlier, Sean, is that you were like, you know, I can't see myself ever paying this for this. And that makes total sense, and that's you know, totally fine. But you'd be glad to hear, Sean. I agree with that opinion. But but what I'm saying is that when you do finally get PS5 in, say, a year or two down the line, and the game, you can pick it up for like 40 quid or whatever, I'll be like, you need to buy that because it's worth the risk at that price point. For sure. It's a weird one, man. It's going to be crazy to see what happens like within a year or whatever.
But I don't think they're thinking about whatever Microsoft are doing. Even if Microsoft releases, if they
I don't think they are.
They
no,
don't
I
need
agree
to,
with that.
because I know people will buy it because they've sold millions, they've done well. People want new games for console.
They do now, Matt. But a year or two down the line, are they still going to be able to do that?
See,
I don't know if they are.
My big point about this as well, which I really think is a thing with a lot of people that buy video games consoles, is that, yes, Game Pass is an amazing deal. Like, for people like us, it's brilliant. Like, it's great. There's loads of stuff on there. There is good quality stuff on there as well. It's excellent. But there's a lot of people that buy a console and buy 1 or 2 games for the entire year, and that's it. And for those people, it's less. I don't think it's as much of a draw at all as it is for people like us.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Totally.
But are you going to go out and buy Call of Duty for 70 quid this year?
No, but some people do, and that'll be the only game they buy that year.
Yeah, enough people will. Enough people will buy, well, GTA, but at this point, people want anything for the PlayStation, therefore they will spend 70 quid on a roguelike game that they may not ordinarily have looked at before because they want something new and it's, you know, looks fancy.
I mean, obviously it's different. Those are third-party games, and I wouldn't be surprised if they are dropped to, you know, lower prices, even at launch, but...
It is interesting though, like how the conversation with this is though, because it's like if you think about it, everyone's been saying like, oh, I've got to buy Returnal because there's nothing to play on PlayStation 5. Like, there's nothing to play on it. There's no games or whatever. Like, you know, nothing's come out. Nothing's come out for Xbox either. Like over this period.
They're not asking for £70.
Exactly, because you've already got Game Pass, so there's already like stuff on there that you can play. Yeah. But there's also stuff on PS5 you can play as well, like with the
you can play the PS4 games on there
collection and all that kind of stuff.
100%.
But it's just really interesting. It's like, you know, there's this, you know, this idea that there's nothing on PS5, but then I don't see what there is on the other machines either at the moment.
Skate 3, mate.
I think because Microsoft have established their backwards compatibility stuff. Yeah. They've established their Game Pass stuff, and that's what that console's about. Whereas PlayStation's all about the next gen, so you're waiting for the next gen games.
Definitely,
and they've been slow coming.
Because I'm just thinking, like, what is coming from Microsoft, like in the next couple of months? Like, what is there?
Psychonauts and
that's soon, isn't it?
What was the other fucking game that's coming? Minesweeper's gonna be on there.
Do you know? I really thought that by now we wouldn't still be having these conversations. But it's still...
Well, I think the podcast will be over.
Do you know what I mean? Just the whole... I just thought it'd be really nice once both the consoles were out, and then it's like, right, they'll both just exist, and we'll just talk about games we're enjoying. But there's still this weird... I don't know. It's almost because they're not really like for like anymore.
No,
and that's what makes it so odd.
They're not even trying to compete with each other at this point.
Yeah,
it's two completely different directions.
The consoles are out, but the games aren't out. Well, there is a game on PlayStation. There's nothing on Xbox, and I'm having fun with Xbox. They're still my most played console and Game Pass, etc., etc. But what's this big new? I mean, this feels like a first-party game, like a big new title. I'll pay the 70 quid because I want to play it.
Yes,
I'll do the same on Xbox.
So that's my point. That's ultimately my point. That price point now will work for Sony as it is. But 2-3 years down the line, is that going to work for Sony?
Yeah, I don't think it will. I don't think it will either.
If there's more games coming out from Sony, more third-party games coming out on both systems, next-gen third-party games coming out on both systems, plus Microsoft start putting their first-party stuff out, if that's decent, is that price point still going to work for them?
No, I don't think. I think it's like it's getting while the getting is good. Yeah, they might as well at this point while people are
just
going basically from game to game because there
squeezing
aren't
the
that
early
many.
adopters
But yeah,
and-
you're totally right. When more games come out, but I don't think they care about what's happening on Xbox. It's more about, when the cadence of games increases on PlayStation, then they'll be like, okay, well, our customers can't afford, 140 quid or, 280 quid a month if they buy a game a week, on our console, but they don't care what Xbox are doing. But it's more, okay, this is the game now. The next game, okay, Resident Evil, admittedly, is out on Friday, but that's, that's not first party. Next big one is Ratchet and Clank. If people go from first party game to first party game, this isn't a first party, but it feels like it.
For as long as like PS5 is outselling Xbox by like 2-1, which is what, from the figures we've got, it seems to be around that sort of level, they're not going to care. They really are not going to care because what does it matter? You got, it's
exactly.
out. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, they're not going to care.
That was 2-1 last gen, though.
It's 2-1 now, Dave.
Is it?
Well, I don't want to say for certain, but from the
No, because you don't know. No one knows.
No, we do because there was sales figures came out quite recently, like about it
For Sony,
hang on.
but we don't know the sales figures on the next gen Microsoft consoles.
No, that's true. Yeah.
So 2-1 is it was that last gen.
I mean, if you
But
go,
what's going to happen this gen?
Video Games
It's probably
Chronicle,
3-1 now.
like VGC, they said PS5 is outselling Xbox Series X 2-1.
Series X, but are we not including Series S in this?
No, it says Series X/Series S consoles.
Okay.
So
Well, how you're saying
where's this?
You're saying S and X are both next gen.
but we discounted them in the bet, Matt.
Yeah.
So you're saying that there's an article out there saying that PS5 is outselling Series S and X combined 2-1.
Yes.
And when's
I
the
can send you the
dated?
link,
You have to send me
When's
that
it
link because
dated?
that's fascinating. I don't disbelieve you. Like, I don't believe. I've just not heard that, so I find that fascinating. If that's
Mind
the
you,
case.
that was the 9th of December last year.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's not the thing. And also, it's from it's from also from a reseller site. So this is not, this is not...
Right, okay. Great news source.
It's obvious that they're massively outselling the Xbox consoles, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Go on.
Well, it's just that they seem the holders to get hold of. All the figures seem to suggest that they've always sold like 4
they could be
or 5
harder
million.
to get hold of because they're not making as many. We don't know the facts, do we?
No,
but
I'd be amazed if they were outselling them 2-1 at this
we
point.
do know that they're like the best-selling consoles in the US because we get the MPDs and stuff. But
yeah,
I think
what I'm saying is that such a big call to make based on such little information. I mean, especially when all consoles are being restricted by how quickly they can distribute them. It's impossible to determine who's ahead at this point, and I'd be amazed if they were outselling them 2-1.
Oh, really?
So
I'll be surprised if it's anything. I think it could be more than that. It just feels like
with that many manufacturing and shipping problems.
Yeah, I feel
It's
like
not
they're probably
reflective
absolutely
of
smashing
anything.
sales.
Well, no,
Okay.
but Dave, it's already outsold the PS4, like at the same rate that
It's
it was.
done massively well. The PS5's done massively well. I'm not arguing that, and I would predict it was outselling the Xbox, but I think, with such little information and with so many different mitigating factors, like how quickly they can churn these things out and ship them around the world, I think it's impossible to even determine that as a market leader at this point, because it's just so early on in the game. But
it is
whatever.
also-
Anyway, this is getting into boring stuff, isn't it? Go on.
I was going to
what were
say
you
it's 11 p.m. and we're still on the first what we've been playing game.
Yeah, sorry about that. We went off on one a little bit there, but sorry, Sean. It is getting late.
Also,
No,
we're
I wasn't
aware that...
doing a James or anything. I was just pointing out this.
Yeah, no,
been
it's
a while.
ridiculous. Go on. Sorry, James.
I was going to say, also, we're aware that we're also talking mostly nonsense about any of the numbers or
100%.
figures, all of that.
Yeah.
We don't know. We're just guessing.
We're just consumers.
Yeah.
That's it at the end of the day. And Sony's going to try and flog us in a fucking deal. Right. Let's. The only other game I got on my list is the only other game that you've got on your list, Matt. So let's get that out of the way. It Takes Two. I finished that this week.
Oh, you finished it now? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely loved it. Adored it. I thought it was fantastic. I do have some problems with it, and that mainly revolves around the story and most importantly, the two main characters, I fucking hated them both. I hated them both. The cutscenes were too long, especially for a game that's trying to hold the attention of two people playing co-op. A lot of the points they're making in the cutscenes or whatever is, it's not doing enough to justify the length of those cutscenes. They're not insanely long. They're not like Metal Gear Solid, but they're long enough to go, come on, I just want to get to the next bit, and this is all banter. You know what I mean? I could do without the banter, especially between Cody and May, the two main characters. It was like, it was real shit. You know what I mean? The chat between those two throughout the whole game.
Cody in particular, like he's just insufferable, isn't he? He's a prick.
Yeah, we don't like Cody.
But then so's May. May's constantly like, no, Cody, don't do that. And it's like, oh, shut up, May. Fuck off. It's the only good thing about that is, well, actually, a lot of the side characters are fantastic. You know, like the squirrels and the other bits, the other things that you come across while playing that game. Especially the book, just complete arsehole. Love it. But yeah, Cody and May, I no liking for that, and the child is the creepiest. The child is written by someone that's never met a child in their life. You know what I mean? Like the way she potters about and that is just awful. Representation of children needs looking at in that game. But other than that, in terms of gameplay and the stuff it asks you to do, some of the stuff you've got to come, I can't wait. It does a thing later on where it looks like a little mini game, not one where you play off against each other, but something that you do. There's a lot of interactive elements in each level. But in the last area, there's an interactive bit that you're like, okay, this is fun, whatever, but let's move on. And then it incorporates it into a game in a spectacular way. And you're like, oh my God, this has affected like this whole thing. It's stunning, some of the ideas. It's mental. I can't imagine how much money. It feels like a game. You know, when you're playing a game, you're thinking, I can't quite comprehend how much money has been piled into this. And my word, it feels like a very, very expensive game. Like an Uncharted.
So many cool bits. Like I don't want to say anything, but yeah, there's loads of really clever bits of the bit we did with Time in the most recent stream. Was like, that's just really, really good, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the whole elephant scene, just one of the most memorable, and it's horrendous. But I laughed throughout the whole thing at how horrendous it was. Not in a horrendous, this is badly handled thing. It was just the stuff it was doing with the music and it totally played for. Sean, play this game.
I will.
There's so much stuff in it that you will be going, what? Like, what? How is it doing this? But especially that last area, there's so much in it that it blows your mind that a game is doing it. That it's
how much longer do me and James have to go? Because we were finding it hard to determine. So you just finished the snow, and right. So you got 2 areas left. So you probably got about 3 hours worth of gameplay left. Cool.
You'll do it in 2 streams. So you'll do the garden area.
Yeah, we
and
just
then
landed
you've got
there. Yeah.
The final area, which I won't tell you about, but they're the last 2 areas. The last area goes on a bit because it's got the whole ending to it and everything. But yeah, really, really good. I mean, you've got to play it. If you listen to
James
it, you've got to play it. It's brilliant.
Like 5, I think we've done 5 streams now, and it's every week is a joy to play, and it's constant fun around the corner.
Can I just say about your stream? There's been a constant running joke about your skill set when it comes to playing games. And we all know that James plays games all the time, and he loves like hard games and all this sort of stuff.
That's not true.
He's completed some of the hardest games out there. Yes, you have.
Well, yeah, but of certain types, like platformers and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. You are fucking shit.
Thanks.
Well, you are though. Not the actual main game, but the competitive challenges, mini games.
Yeah,
you are getting hammered every single mini game.
Yeah, it's true.
And I've mentioned this before, and I know you feel it as well. Matt is the worst winner of all time.
Yeah.
Like the worst winner of all time.
Because
you always want to root for Matt. You always want to root for Matt. But then when he wins, you're like, I wish I didn't root for Matt. It's just like, yes,
I've had a lifetime of losing, so any time I win, I'm taking that. But with James, it's every week, so I'm having to dial it down now.
Mate, it really is like every mini game. It's insane. How many of those mini games have you won, James?
I only won about 2 of them, I think, from the whole thing.
Mad.
But it's just, I don't really care. That's part of the problem.
What do you mean?
Well, no, it's just, I like drinking the
James
alcohol.
just wants to drink.
And
He's such a liar. He's such a liar. This is someone trying to save face, Matt. Don't allow it.
Yeah, it's
don't allow it.
Yeah.
No, I know
it hits his ego every time you beat him.
The one that did annoy me, I did feel annoyed about, was that one, the race around the course, because I was just like, I have no idea how Matt is getting how he's getting ahead so quickly on this. That did annoy me, that one.
Yeah, I watched that because you completely forgot the fact that you're supposed to dash while you're skating to go faster.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's also what happened there.
Oh yeah, that race was brilliant. Yeah, really good.
Okay, so that was It Takes Two. Should we move over to Sean?
Hello.
Yes.
A couple of fairly brief ones. So after Dave mentioned it the other week, I've been back to Wreckfest. Fucking hell, it's a good time, innit?
It's bloody good, isn't it?
It's custom events. Like, I know it's, not necessarily how the game is supposed to be played. There's no progression in it, but like, I think, playing the main campaign and you start out, you're doing the, Destruction Derby with the sit-on mowers, and then there's like, there's a race where there's a combine harvester chasing you all around. Now, that's just great. And then after that, it's sort of, there's just a lot of quote-unquote normal races.
Just normal banger racing. Yeah.
And it's, don't get me wrong, it's a great racer. But that sort of pace of the silly stuff sort of went off a bit. But yeah, hell, just custom events. You can do whatever you fucking want. And it's hilarious.
Yeah, the figure 8 courses. The one with the massive, roads that go up and then down
and then
again.
Come back down and then,
you've been on that one? Yeah, that's great. The fucking, the one that's just a big stretch of road with a roundabout at each end.
Yeah.
So... on the first lap, you go round the roundabout and then go up the road that you've driven down. And then you get to the second roundabout, you go round that and you go back onto the main road. And of course, there's fucking tons of cars just driving at you. It's brilliant. I did a 10-lap 24 racer version of that. And 2 cars survived to the end. It was great.
Yeah, and just all the
absolutely fantastic
stupid vehicles, the fucking sofa car.
I've not done that.
Oh, mate.
The sofa car?
Yeah. Well, I set Isaac up with an event where he was in a real car and then everyone else was on the sofa car, which is basically what it sounds like. It's a sofa with wheels and a steering wheel on it. And he's just smashing into people and laughing his head off. Probably not good for his development, to be honest. But, it's hilarious. So, yeah, I've been having a really good time with that.
It's so good.
It's so weird time as well, because Wreckfest is on PlayStation Plus in May, isn't it?
It is,
but only on PS5. Is that right?
Oh, God. Sean's going to lose his shit again.
I'm just saying, it's a 3-year-old game. There's not even a PS5 version of it, is there?
Getting worse with it,
I thought it was a PS5 version of it. I thought that was the whole point.
Yeah, it was a PS5 version of it.
Oh, it is? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So the other one is, as many of you will be aware, I streamed my failed attempts at becoming a pirate legend on Sea of Thieves last week. Fucking hell. I mean, the stream was about 4 hours long, so I don't blame anyone who's not had a chance to watch it.
Watch it. Watch it. Zoom to the last 30 minutes and watch that stream. Do you want to explain what happened?
So long story short, started out, it was really good. There were 2 factions. I had to get to level 50, and they were both, close enough that one big voyage for each, which, essentially a mission that you take from them, would have done the job. So we were going to do a big fleet battle, and that would have got the Order of Souls to level 50. And then we were going to do a vault, which is where you go around picking up clues for a map, and then you find a vault with treasure in it, do a bit of, bit of a sort of timed puzzle thing, get all the treasure out. Job done, right? Should have taken about 2 hours tops. Long story short, so the fleet battle went really well. That was really good fun. A bit stressful, but then they always are, and that's part of the enjoyment. That was really good. And then we went on to do the vault. We got really lucky. We got one piece of the map, and straight away not straight away, but we worked out which island it was, and we could see the cross on it. Got the key for the vault and everything. Brilliant. Got to the vault. and another ship came up and started shooting at us. They weren't Reapers, so they weren't specifically on like a PvP session. They weren't, necessarily getting anything cool for doing it. They were just being arseholes. And then the thing with Sea of Thieves is, normally in a normal session, I've learned to just be like, right, well, we're just going to get griefed, so let's fuck this, let's stop doing this, let's do something else instead. But of course, I was on a stream, I had a specific goal in mind. And it was like, well, we've spent the last half an hour trying to work our way towards this vault, and we're here now. Like, we can't just bin it. It was around this point that Cammy's kid was kicking off, so he had to go. So we were then, trying to negotiate getting fired upon by the ship while also running a 3-man ship with 2 people. So that, it was just fucking miserable. That was just like a really drawn out confrontation that went absolutely nowhere. So we then just said like, right, well, fuck it. Let's just let's just dig up some treasure chests, just, potter about for a bit. Made a 2-man ship, for just me and Chris. And, and basically got some stuff. It didn't go particularly well. Took it back to an island, spotted that there was a ship there and just thought, like, it's midnight. Like, surely they're not going to be dickheads. We haven't even got that much treasure worth having. Surprise, they were dickheads and started killing us as we got there, and then I had a somewhat undignified confrontation with them.
Right, are you embarrassed by the confrontation a little bit?
I thought it was brilliant.
Did you? I thank you. I mean, yes and no. Like, I don't really disagree with anything I said. Obviously, the correct thing to do would have been to just log off, because what's the fucking point?
That's it.
It's completely futile. But
that's where you went wrong, right?
Yeah.
I love you, Sean. For that, you gave the griefers exactly what they wanted.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when you say, there were lines, some of the lines in it. At one point, you mentioned that you were streaming it, and everyone in the chat thought you were a dickhead, and I was like, "Don't tell them that." And then
True,
you went, "Listen, mate, I just thought, you could choose to be a good human being instead of a dickhead."
That's not what I said.
There is
That's
a choice,
not the line.
That's what you said. There is a choice,
Yeah, I said you can make a choice. I didn't say you could be a good human being, Dave. That'd be incredibly
what did you
cringeworthy.
say? A good person?
No,
or something?
I said you could choose not to be a dickhead.
Oh God, Sean, come
You're
on.
like, you don't have to be an arsehole in this kind of...
You don't have to be an arsehole, that's it.
It was because he came over and was like, no, seriously, guys, because it's really a good idea just to circle around and make sure there's no ships. I was like, no, we knew you were there. That wasn't the...
But
usually...
he's doing that to wind you up. He wasn't legitimately, giving you...
yeah, but I did get him because he got
you.
very upset with how much I was swearing, Dave.
He didn't.
Oh, he did.
He was just taking the piss.
He was taking the piss.
I mean, we were the ones that were laughing. He wasn't. So...
Yeah, but you were doing that laugh, the not like the real laugh. It was the sort of...
No, when he started saying like, oh, you're obviously dealing with your intellectual superior, that was fucking funny. That was 100% legitimate laugh.
Okay. Just next time that happens, just log off or just act. The best way to do it is act like you don't care at all. It's
no,
just,
and that's usually the move.
Inside.
But I was just in the shittiest fucking mood by that point.
That was it. You'd lost it at that point, I think.
So it was fucking wank. And then, and the best part is the following morning, just loaded up Sea of Thieves, just spent about an hour pottering about finding treasure chests, and hooray, pirate legend. Brilliant. The worst part is so that when you become a pirate legend, you get this special shanty that gives you access to the secret pub in the basement of the regular pub. And when the guy's giving you the shanty, it's like, oh yeah, it's written by the pirate lord, and it's all about his philosophy that pirates shouldn't be infighting and they shouldn't be stealing from each other. And I'm like, yeah, sounds good, mate. Sounds really good. Actually,
my favorite bit is about an hour before the end. You said, oh, I just fucking hate those pricks that say, well, it's not Sea of Friends, is it? It's Sea of Thieves. And then in the last 10 minutes, one of the griefers went, this is not Sea of Friends, this is Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves, actually.
It's just like...
Oh, and when he was fucking going like, oh, little baby, if you can't play a grown-ups game, go and play a baby's game instead. Well, oh, fucking cunt.
Oh, he absolutely did,
Anyway.
I mean, he is a dick, but the whole game is based around that, right?
No, it isn't, though. That's the thing.
It is, though, Sean.
No, it isn't.
Otherwise, they wouldn't let you do it.
Okay, so why did they... The major content they've added to that game over the last few years is the Tall Tales, which are a series of PvE co-op adventures. That's where most of the effort has gone.
Okay.
And it's easily the best thing about the game, if you ask me.
Right. So why didn't they turn off the fact that someone could just sail up and blow your ship up and nick all your shit?
Because I think that's too large a portion of the player base for them to ignore it.
Exactly. So the game is pretty much catering to dickheads.
Yeah, but it shouldn't. That's the thing. Like, if you look at like I was saying this on the stream, like if you look at loads of tweets from the official Sea of Thieves account, and everyone's just going nuts saying, when are you adding PvE servers? Because no one can be asked with like this other type of player.
They'd have to turn like friendly fire off and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not. They should do that. I mean, I'm with you. They should do that. But when have you written anywhere? Have you sent a strongly worded email? Because it certainly felt like you were going to.
Oh God, no.
Oh,
why would I do that? What's
You're
the
not
point?
there yet. Why would you do that? Why would you tell a griefer that they have a choice? That's what they want, Sean.
So it's fucking shit, basically. Did not enjoy that.
Time,
that was literally was hands down the least enjoyable session we've ever had on Sea of Thieves, and of course it was the time I was fucking streaming it. Which again probably contributed to it somewhat, because again, if it had been a normal session, we'd have just been like, all right, well, it's not happening tonight. Fuck it.
That's it. But you cracked on.
But you sort of felt like we had to do it. And it was just absolutely miserable. So, hooray, Sea of Thieves. I'm Pirate Legend now. Feels great.
Are you done now? Are you going to go back to it still, do you reckon?
Yeah, we've got a few more Tall Tales to do. I think after that, we might be done, because after that, there's not a lot to do other than go after other people, which again is probably part of the problem, is that ultimately that's the end game, is that...
There you go. Turn into a griefer. Do a griefing stream. Absolutely, you just do it
not.
from one night.
No.
That'd be great.
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. Because you've seen how it just absolutely fucks with other people's session. And it's just... But how is that? How have you watched my stream, Dave, and not gone, oh, well, actually, that just ruins the game for other people?
Because it's funny.
It's not,
your shit. Because you got to put to the freaking point of telling someone they got a choice. That's why I want to see you from the other side. I want to see it from the other side, though, Sean. I want to see you walking around with your big, like, what is it, the megaphone or whatever, and just go, we're going to fuck you up, playing music down it.
I think the thing is, like, dealing with trolls with sarcasm and thinking that was going to work. It's just quite funny.
What was why? What did I say that was sarcastic?
No, the whole, like, you have a choice. You know, like, it's just...
Sorry, Sean, there's no sympathy
I'm
here.
sorry. I've got no sense of humour about it, because it was just awful.
Okay, sorry.
So sorry if you thought that was embarrassing of me to say, but I was in a shit mood, and I fucking hate those people. So,
no, I don't think it was embarrassing of you to say. I just think it was...
Yeah, I mean, you keep laughing about it.
React like that. I know, it's pretty funny, actually. Sorry.
No, Sean, you should do a stream where you deck out your ship and everything in what looks like total noob skins. And, trying to get people to try and take over your ship, and you guys absolutely wreck them.
But that's a thing that people do. Like it was a few weeks ago, the Twitter account just posted like a picture of a ship with like, the basic skin and everything and nothing on it, and the tweet just said, "How experienced are they?"
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people used to do it in Fortnite, not having the special skins, just a basic one, and yeah.
Yep.
Good.
So, yeah.
All right. Fine.
So, yeah, thanks for making me feel even better about that, Dave. Really appreciate it.
Oh, cheer up, mate. It was only having a laugh in it.
Yeah, it's not Sea of Friends, it's...
Right, okay, James, what have you got for us?
I just want to talk very briefly about Yakuza Like a Dragon, because I'm still playing this, and I had a bit of a breakthrough with it the other night, because I played it until like 1:30 in the morning, which I haven't done for a long time, where I just got absorbed into the story, which was good. And I'm trying to accept the change in the combat system, by just thinking, okay, I can live with this. I can just do it. I just switch it to auto for general fights, and then when there are bosses, I'm just going to do it myself, and it's marginally more enjoyable. But it still has that really annoying... Oh, sorry, I was going to try and be positive about this, and now I'm feeling annoyed, because I'm just thinking about it. it's got that really annoying thing with JRPGs. You know, like where battles take for ages, and then you suddenly lose because one of the for some reason the character you're fighting against has like 3 or 4 consecutive goes in a row, and I don't ever know why that happens, and it really annoys me when that sort of thing happens.
Come on, Sean, it's your turn to get your own back on James. Laugh at him about this.
No, you see, because I'm not like James. I've learned. I'm taking the high road.
Okay, all right, well done. I like it.
Sean had a choice. He could do that, or he could just do that.
Sean should have done that on the high seas.
Go on, James.
But no, it's that thing where you just get wiped out, and you've just spent and that's the thing I hate about this system is that it's the length of time that each battle consumes. Like if you're fighting a boss or whatever, it can go on for ages, and then you can just suddenly lose from some sort of bullshit. And that's what I hate about JRPGs. It's the thing I've always hated about them. And with the action style from the previous games, I always felt like I could overcome stuff as long as you had enough health, like items and things like that. You could just brute force your way through if you felt you needed to. With this, it's like you spend ages trying to figure out how you can game the system so you can get through it in the way that's least irritating. And that's what I hate about it. But anyway, I'm trying to be positive and I'm trying to enjoy it more. And so I'm not thinking about that. I'm just going to continue playing and enjoying the
James,
story.
you should stop playing this video game.
No, because I'm enjoying the story, and that's what's really annoying about it. Because it's like I said, I played it until 1:30 in the morning because I was starting to get really absorbed into it. It's just the battle system. I really still don't enjoy it, and it does that. Also, it does that thing of where you have that you sometimes get in bad JRPGs where there's a boss battle, and then there's no save break or whatever, and then they do another one and then another one, and it's just
hate that shit,
that sort of stuff as well, which you're thinking, who thinks this is a good idea, to do that? I don't understand why they do that. But anyway, the story's great, side missions are great, enjoying all of that, and I'm on chapter 11, so yeah, it's
How many
fine.
chapters are there?
16. So
give up.
No, I'm enjoying the story.
It's going to get harder, though.
You can watch the cutscenes on YouTube. It's fine.
Yeah, watch the cutscenes on YouTube. Matt does it.
No. James, when there's a point where you have to grind, is that the point you'll say it's over?
Well, no, because that's inevitably going to happen. There's no way that there's not going to be grinding going on. I was looking up the other day about people talking about doing the final mission, and they needed to be level 80 or whatever, and I'm level 35 at the moment, and I'm just thinking, I'm technically near the end. I'm nowhere near that, and it's just I'm going to be spending a lot of time doing the same thing over and over again to make some numbers go up.
Not just stop.
It's just
fucking hell.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Right. It is ridiculous, James. You're absolutely right.
But you see, the thing is Persona, with that's also JRPG. But you could stick that on easy, and it would make it, you could walk through things. It's not, nowhere near as bad. But I still just think, I don't know. Forget it. I'm enjoying playing it. It's fine.
I don't feel like you are, James.
The story's good. The story's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Is that it for games?
Yeah.
All right. Still a few questions. Get out of it.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll have to cut a few. But here goes. Yeah, if you want to send us a question, visit tcgs.co/Dear TCGS. Brillopad Brian says, Dear TCGS, I've been working through your backlog of shows. Recently came across a conversation you had about washing the dishes and whether you enjoy the task or not. I felt compelled to share my reason for enjoying washing the dishes.
That's the one they want to send an email in about.
I am a dishwash farter. I've always been shy around my girlfriend when it comes to bodily functions and try to take any opportunity to be discreet. Luckily, I've convinced her that I do the dishes every night so that she doesn't have to. But in reality, I do it so that I can let a few out in secret for 10 to 15 minutes after dinner.
What?
The smell of the dishes and fairy liquid plus the sound of running water completely masks my deeds. Talk of ordering a dishwasher puts the fear of God into me that I might lose my cover for letting rip. How do you all handle necessary bodily functions at home?
I just fart.
I was going to say, I'm fully supportive of not farting or burping excessively in front of your other half.
Really?
Yeah, there are ways of disguising these things if you.
Yeah,
you know
but why should you?
Yeah, but after month 2,
it's fucking gross, Dave.
Yeah, but it's things that your body does is gross. But if you, I mean, I'm okay. I'm being judgmental here, but with Joe and I, it's like, well, we both live together. I'd rather you not struggle to keep in a fart.
Oh no, yeah, like I'd never like it freaks me out when people say like, oh, well, you just hold them in, don't you? And then they sort of go away, and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
No, don't do
Just
that.
make your fart go back inside you. What the fuck? Just cram it back in. I just like if there's a way for me to avoid it, I will. Don't
get me wrong. I'm not sitting there going
cocking your leg up.
If we're having a massive row and I can slip it into like at the end of a sentence as a full stop, then that's happening.
Yeah.
Like it's.
How does she know it's a full stop and not a comma?
It's just the way it sounds. There's different sounds.
Oh, okay. Didn't think about
But yeah, actually engineering it so that you perform a specific household task and then presumably saving all your farts until then.
Saving them.
Yeah.
That really
also,
doesn't sound
can
healthy.
I say,
No, it doesn't.
she knows what you're doing.
100%.
She's figured it out.
Because she's been in the kitchen either when you're washing up or within 2 minutes afterwards, and she knows that you've been farting in there for 15 minutes. You're not hiding it. It's not enough liquid in the world to hide that.
Do you reckon it's like in the cartoons where it turns into a hand and pinches the nose? Do you reckon it's like one of that?
Yeah. She's like, oh God, he's doing his 15 minutes of farting in the kitchen. He thinks I can't hear it. TV's on mute. Like,
whoa,
she knows what's happening.
I just had a thought. Does James do the same thing with podcasting? He saves it all up for when he starts podcasting and lets rip for 3 hours straight.
Yeah.
I am a podcast farter, says James Farley.
Yeah, I've never judged. Like, I'd never get upset with Joe by farting, and I hope that that's reciprocated.
It's as you say, isn't it? It's the it's the difference between it just happening and like being gratuitous about it.
I wouldn't go up to a burp in a fart. Actually, I do stifle burps, but then I don't hold them in. Yeah,
the burp. You can just sort of breathe it out, can't you? In a sort of
you burp in your mouth and then do that little thing.
Yeah, like it's obviously not particularly subtle, but it's definitely the polite option.
Yeah.
Right,
Maria
Mendieta.
I hope I've answered your question, Brian.
Yeah, hope that helps. Maria Mendieta says, Dear TCGS covert operatives, hearing James talk about the, quote, random battle people interrupting his pleasant conversations in Yakuza Like a Dragon made me think of pub fights. Although I've only witnessed them and never partaken, they nearly all went down exactly as James described it. The quote, they walk in front of you or whatever, and then the battle starts, you finish the battle, and then you can't get back into the conversation. Which is why I ask, what is the most realistic pub experience in gaming? I know Uncharted 3 starts off in one, and RPG maps are often littered with inns, but I wonder if the industry has made significant strides in this aspect of immersion. I don't think they have. I can't.
Well, I think the pubs in the pub scene in Uncharted 3 was fantastic. I'd also say that the pubs in Watch Dogs, what is it called? The most recent one, Legion. Yeah, the pubs in that are pretty fucking good. Okay, they feel like London pubs when you go in them. It's the only good thing about that game. But the pubs are pretty legit. But yeah, I mean, pubs are a hard thing to sort of explain and put into a video game, like replicate, aren't they? Very British thing, pubs. It's weird. And there's when you're in a British pub because everyone fucking is angry with each other.
There's patio furniture everywhere.
Yeah, and it's how do you recreate the there's no game in it, is there, in hanging out in a pub apart from fucking darts or the fruit machines
or pool or fruit machines.
So it's only ever
flipping the beer mats.
Flipping the beer mats, definitely.
Who can drink the most? That's a game.
How do you get that essence of it could kick off at any moment into a video game? It's tough. It's tough for sure.
It's like it's only ever going to be a side thing in a game, isn't it? Like there's never going to be a game about being in a pub. I mean, someone should make one. Someone definitely should try.
Was it Beer Time? Beer Time was that, wasn't it?
Oh, what was that? I don't think I've.
That was that old game where you had to like slide beers across the.
Oh yeah.
Thing. Yeah.
But that's about working in a pub, right?
Yeah, good
But
point.
then there
Good point.
are bartending games.
There
Red
was a
Strings Club.
game. Fuck. There was a game on I can't remember if it was Atari ST or an early PC game where you had to make cocktails for all. It was like, it was like a mix between Papers, Please and Overcooked, where it was a 2D game and you had to mix cocktails. And I remember I had it. I think it was on the PC. If anyone knows this game, get in touch. But yeah, you had to serve up cocktails. I remember that being brilliant. Fuck. All right, okay, I got to try and find that game. Jesus, that's a flashback.
But yeah, like
I'd love to know what that
obviously,
game
yeah.
is.
So Red Strings Club and Valhalla was another one, but that's like obviously they're all cyberpunk ones. Or I don't think I know of any that's just you're a bartender in a
I didn't
British
play any,
pub.
but did the Fable series not have any like British pubs? That feels like a game that
Not
probably
really.
had-
No, they weren't a big thing. They I think they had pubs in them, but they weren't. Yeah, you didn't spend a lot of time in
I
them.
know there's a fair few in The Witcher.
Oh yeah,
In Witcher 3, so
but
I'm
even
sure
again,
I
they were-
played a
they were
VR
okay.
game recently where it was in like there was in
Pub brawl.
oh, wasn't
in
it?
Drunken Bar Fight.
The,
and then I started
Pub bar
smashing
fight, that's it,
people with
drunken
like
pub.
stuff.
the fucking not Blood and Truth, but the one they did before that was part of the VR collection on the PlayStation.
Yeah, that was in a there was a bit of that.
That had a scene in a pub, and I remember that was really cool because it had the cigar on the table, and you could pick it up, and if you breathed in and out, it actually went like and then blew the smoke
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
which was cool.
Oh god,
Obviously
Red
used
Dead
the
Redemption
microphone.
2.
Oh yeah,
They were fantastic. They were fantastic for that stuff. The little pockets of different types of people doing different things really gave the essence of being in a bar.
I think there's been
yeah.
games like especially so I guess Hitman 3 and Cyberpunk as well have some amazing like bars and clubs in them. GTA 5 as well.
Yeah, they're the clubs though, aren't they? Yeah.
But yeah, again, not the same thing.
It's easier to replicate a nightclub, I think. You know, Hitman 3 was brilliant for that.
Yeah.
Like really good. But they didn't a pub is a completely different thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, cool. Last one. MD Krabuffs says, after last week's question nearly caused the launch of a new Patreon tier above full Nels consisting of Farley pill-popping arse play, I thought let's stick to safer ground with the now annual request for watching, reading and beverage recommendations.
Watching, reading and beverage. Okay. James, you start.
Oh, I don't know. Okay. Watching. Is it this? I've not watched anything new recently. We're watching The Sopranos at the
one for each
moment,
one.
which is brilliant. Yeah, we're watching that. Reading. I'm not going to recommend anything because it's all just books that I'm reading for work, so it's not of any interest to anybody. And drink. They've got rid of Hop House, so I'm sad. I've got nothing. Is what's
Brilliant.
happened here.
Nice
Yeah.
one. Sean.
Watching, so I started, as we're all aware, going through a bit of a pirate phase at the moment. And a few weeks ago, I'd discovered, so there's a Netflix series, it's like a documentary series about like feudal Japan. And at the time, I was thinking, fuck, I wish they'd do this, but for pirates. They have. But with a fraction of the budget of the feudal Japan one. What's it called? It's called like The Lost Pirate Kingdom. And it's just this series of like interviews with historians and researchers and stuff, but then these sort of dramatized scenes of what the pirates actually got up to. And fuck me, it's been made for about 20 quid. It's like the performances in it, like some of them are absolutely dreadful. They clearly had like no budget for sets and stuff. Like hardly anything actually takes place on the boats because they clearly couldn't afford to do anything cool. But I am finding it really interesting and just sort of enjoying how poor the production values are in places. It's actually been really fascinating.
Cool. And so that's watching. You've got reading and beverage.
Well, I don't read things, do I?
Okay.
Obviously, that's a ludicrous suggestion. Drinking. I've mentioned Soda Folk before, haven't I? I've just bought a case of their root beer again because it's fucking brilliant.
Here we go.
That's basically it. Oh, I did try. There's a company called Smashed who do 0% like beers and ciders and stuff. Got a mixed crate from them the other week, and the ciders were actually proper nice. And new tells me that the beers were decent as well. So yeah, that was cool. But I mean, that's about it.
Cool. Matt.
Beer, TV, and books. That's about it.
Okay. I thought you were going to... see, I'm going to do your job for you slightly for the watching thing. Because I'm going to recommend Palm Springs, which is now on Amazon Prime or whatever. That's a fantastic film. Really, really enjoyed that film. Think Groundhog Day. That's all I'm going to say. Don't watch the trailer because the trailer is horrific, giving away major plot points. So Palm Springs on that is really good. But also, the Mitchell versus the Machines on Netflix. We watched that today. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Really, really funny. Really good. Well worth a watch. It's a family
from
film.
the people who did Spider-Verse, you can tell, and it looks great, and it's a great film.
Actually, while we're talking family films, you watch Yesterday yet?
No.
I mean, it's not great, but it's brilliant to watch with the family. I thought there's some really good performances in it, some funny characters.
I've played through most of Say No More with Isaac. I thought maybe a film with the opposite concept would probably be equally as damaging. So Yesterday's quite a nice film to watch as a family. Okay.
And sticking on a family theme in terms of reading, I can highly recommend. I think I've recommended it on Twitter before, but the book "I Want More Ketchup, Please" by Adam Bestwick is an absolute joy to read to the kids. Most nights they absolutely love it, and I think it's wonderfully written. You know, obviously I love the Julia Donaldson stuff, but this is like the quality of the writing in this is really good as well. So I Want More Ketchup, Please. If you've got a kid, it's probably only a couple of quid on Amazon or whatever, but very good children's book. We like reading that.
I've just gone through all the Mr. Men, Little Miss collection, but we've done them now, so we need more.
You're getting the Assassin's Creed ones.
Yeah. Has any of your kids got into Dogman yet?
No.
Fucking hell, Harry's obsessed with that stuff. They're like little comic books. You've heard of Captain Underpants, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we saw the film at the cinema, and she watches the series as well on Netflix.
So the concept is that this is the comic book written by the two kids in Captain Underpants.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, so by the same writer, but it's Dogman, and Harry is obsessed with those. And from what I've read of them, they're really funny as well. So beverages. I haven't really got one. You know, at the moment it's literally just coffee, and at the weekends, Moretti. Do you know what I mean? That's what's getting me through.
I've been drinking Topo Chico, which is Coca-Cola's version of White Claws, and they're okay. It's like same kind of thing. Everyone's getting into the hard seltzer game.
The hard seltzer thing, version. Are they not just basically Alco Pops
hard
again?
Seltzer. It's basically like flavoured sparkling water with alcohol in it. That's what White Claws are. That's what these Topo Chicos are. Brewdog
That's what Hooch was.
I was going to say, this is just Alco Pops again, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just Alco Pops making a comeback.
Yeah, they're nice. They're very nice.
About bloody time.
They've rebadged it, you fool. Right, should we do the end bit, Matt?
Yeah, this Friday, James and I continue with It Takes Two. That's Friday night from 9 on twitch.tv/TCGSco. If you miss it live, you can search for us on YouTube and you can watch all the previous versions on there. If you've got Amazon Prime, you've got Twitch Prime Gaming, and with it, you get one free subscription every single month. And we really appreciate it if you went over to our channel and gave us your free monthly sub. It makes a world of difference to us. We're on Patreon. It's patreon.com/TCGS. This Saturday night, we're doing the talks over for £8.50 above tiers, so you can watch us live. And if you don't watch it live, you can. If you're not a Patreon subscriber, you can watch it when it goes on YouTube in a month's time. And tcgs.co is the website. There's a store on there, but we're reimagining the content of the store currently. So come back soon, I guess, for new stuff on that.
Cool. Well, thanks for living it. Sorry, it's been a long show, and sorry for the majority of it. We were talking about stuff we don't really knew about. But
I mean, it doesn't usually stop us.
We will catch you on next week's show. We hope you have a good week. Goodbye, everybody.
Ta-ra.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.